Part 114. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1131. They arrived at the West Lake and stopped at the entrance of Lu Park Sanlian bookstore. They changed people to sit in the passenger seat of the Aston Martin and drove around the West Lake. At this time, there were almost no people in the West Lake. Occasionally, people could come from Beatty. Over there were one or two heart-piercing screams, coming from a few people who were just like them, determined to penetrate the night. These two shouts soon sank into the dark West Lake. Even the night birds on the nearby Lone Mountain were paralyzed by firecrackers and fireworks all night long, and they didn't even bother to wake up. The city, which had been noisy all night, seemed tired now and fell silent. The roar of the Aston Martin is low and surging, always trying to break away from the tangle and rush forward, confronting the silence around it. Lu Ligan drove his car along Huancheng West Road and turned left onto Baishan Street. When he arrived at the Xi'an intersection, he did not continue walking along Baishan Street. Instead, he turned left onto Beatty and crossed Broken Bridge and Jindai Bridge. Arrived at Gushan, continued forward, past the Zhejiang Provincial Museum and Luweilu, past Suzioxio's tomb, and turned left on Baishan Street again. After passing the gate of Shangri-La, go to the three-way intersection and turn left, go up Su Causeway, turn up Su Causeway, and cross Hongqiao not far ahead. Lu Ligang accelerated. The up and down slope across Hongqiao was very steep. He accelerated to on the top of the bridge, the entire car flew off the ground, and then fell down with a bang. Molly, who was the first to sit in the passenger seat, screamed, and Lu Ligan laughed. There are 6 bridges on Su Causeway, collectively known as the 6 suspension bridges, 6 suspension bridges with a view of the West Lake, 1 willow and 1 peach. From this direction, they cross the Hong Bridge, Dongpu Bridge, Yadi Bridge, and Wangshan Bridge in order. Suolan Bridge and Yingbo Bridge. After passing Yingbo Bridge, the entire Su Causeway ends, and you turn left to Nanshan Road. Follow Nanshan Road past Lifeng Pagoda and Jingxi Temple, turn left at the intersection of Yahuang Mountain, and continue on Nanshan Road, pass Singing Orioles in the Willows and Zhejiang Academy of Fine Arts, arrive at the first park at the end of Jifang Road, turn onto Hubin Road, 2nd Park and 4th Park, 5th Park, a circle around the West Lake ends. You can see Meng Ping's car parked on the roadside of 6th Park in front. The other people were sitting in Meng Ping's car, waiting for Lu Ligan to come back. Then someone got out and ran to the Aston Martin. The man in the car ran back here. Ren Rongrong couldn't wait. Every time he wanted to get out of the car, he was pulled back by Chen Yakin. Chen Yakin scolded, "Why are you joining in the fun? Mr. Lu will take you back later. You drove all the way home, what are you grabbing now?" Ren Rongrong had no choice but to continue sitting there. They walked around the West Lake for more than an hour, looking at the horizon, but there was no sign of light. Chen Yakin asked Meng Ping, "Do you need to sleep for a while?" Meng Ping said no. "Then let's go now," Chen Yakin said, and Meng Ping said yes. Chen Yakin's home is close to Hangzhou, and she has to go back. Ren Rongrong has a long way to go, and it takes 3 hours to drive. Lu Ligan and Ren Rongrong said, "Let's go, too. At worst, we can rest for a while on the way," and Ren Rongrong agreed. Ren Rongrong finally got on the Aston Martin. He raised his right hand and waved excitedly. The motor roared and they went directly back to Ren Rongrong's home from the West Lake. Meng Ping and Chen Yakin sent Beijing, Molly, and the 3 girls to the dormitory first, and then started on the road to Qiqiao. There are few cars in the evening. Chen Yakin's family lives in Qiqiao near Yangsun Bridge. It is less than 40 kilometers from Hangzhou. Meng Ping drove there in more than half an hour. Chen Yakin's home is a 3-story building with a courtyard in front of the door. In front of the courtyard is a sun-drying field. Meng Ping drove his car to the sun-drying field in front of Chen Yakin's house. It was still dark at this time. It is definitely not good to bring a man home. You have to stay in a hotel, and recently you have to go to the textile city. I don't know if the door will be opened, and Mengping doesn't know how to get there. Mengping said it's okay, you can go back. I'll stop here and sleep in the car for a while. When it gets dark, I'll go directly to Shaoxing City to have a look. Have you been to Shaoxing? Chen Yakin asked. Mengping said no. Then do you want me to accompany you? On a day like this, you are an outsider. Let alone a hotel, I'm afraid you won't even be able to find a place to eat, Chen Yakin said. Is everything okay at home? Mengping asked. If there is something going on at home, if people see it and know that we are back for the new year, it will be fine. At the worst, we can have a reunion dinner together in the evening. That's great, Mengping smiled, let's go together. Chen Yakin said yeah and nodded. Then you can talk about it after you wake up in the car. Mengping said yes. Chen Yakin got out of the car and walked to the door of her house. Her family knew that she was coming back. The courtyard door was ajar. Chen Yakin walked in. The door of the house was closed but not bolted. Instead, a stool top was placed inside. As soon as Chen Yakin pushed the door open, the stool made a sound as it rubbed against the ground. Her mother's voice sounded from a door on her left. Which one? Chen Yakin responded, me. Yakin is back. Chen Yakin said yeah, and then there was no movement inside the door. Chen Yakin's room was on the second floor. She went upstairs and opened the door. She walked to the window and looked down. She saw that Mengping had turned off the car lights, and the car was lying on the sunbath in darkness. In the early morning of February in Jiangnan, the coldness penetrated her bones. Chen Yakin thought for a moment, walked to the cabinet, opened the door, hugged a quilt and went downstairs. It was already past 10 o'clock in the morning when Mengping woke up. When he opened his eyes, he was startled. He saw 4 or 5 old people looking at him outside the car. When Mengping opened his eyes, the people outside where the person was also startled, and subconsciously stepped back. These elderly people are all Chen Yakin's family, including her grandparents, aunt, and her parents. Chen Yakin's grandma was the first to get up. When she opened the courtyard door, she saw a car parked in front of her house. She didn't take it too seriously. Guests from neighbors often drove up to the village and parked their cars here because there was no place to park. Chen Yakin's grandma thought it would still be the case this time. The night before, we stayed up late and watched the Spring Festival Gala. On the first day of the new year, everyone got up late. It was around 9 o'clock when Chen Yakin's aunt got up. She walked to the door and saw the car. She was curious, so she walked over to take a look and saw the car in the car. There was still a person sleeping, so I walked back to talk to my mother. The mother and daughter came over to have a look, and then walked back. Neither of them knew whose guest this was, or why he was sleeping in the car. It was such a cold day, and it was the first day of the Lunar New Year. It was really pitiful. When Chen Yakin's mother got up, the 2 people quickly told Chen Yakin's mother about this strange thing. Her mother came to take a look and made a new discovery. She told them that the quilt covering this person seemed to be from our home. Yes, it's from Yakin's room. Hearing what Chen Yakin's mother said, not only her grandmother and aunt were excited, but her father and grandfather were also surprised when they heard it. Chen Yakin has never brought any man back home. At such an old age, the family is almost dying of panic. When I heard that a man was coming and sleeping outside in the car, everyone went over to take a look. Outside the car, even Chen Yakin's aunt confirmed that yes, this quilt was from Yakin's room. You look pretty good, like a serious person, Chen Yakin's grandma suddenly said something, and everyone else laughed. Chen Yakin's father looked at the license plate and told them that he seemed to be from Jiangsu. A few people were muttering when Mengping suddenly opened his eyes, startling them. Chen Yakin's father took a step back. When he was about to take another step forward and wanted to ask who he was, Chen Yakin ran out of the yard. Chen Yakin shouted, "He is my boss, he is the one who sent me home." At this time, Meng Ping also got out of the car. Chen Yakin quickly introduced them to them. Meng Ping called uncle, aunt, grandpa, and grandma. Chen Yakin's family members responded one by one, while looking at Chen Yakin with eager eyes. Chen Yakin knew that they were "What do you mean, it must be a misunderstanding, I couldn't help but blush." She quickly told them to go back, "We were leaving too." Chen Yakin's mother was startled and asked quickly, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I have something to do in Shaoxing City." Chen Yakin became a little anxious when she saw that they had no intention of going back at all. It turned out that she was not going back to Hangzhou. Chen Yakin's mother breathed a sigh of relief. She said, "The boss will definitely come for dinner when I come back that night." Before Chen Yakin spoke, Meng Ping had already agreed. Chen Yakin looked at him helplessly, thinking that if he didn't come to eat, he wouldn't have anywhere to eat on the first day of the first lunar month. After finalizing the matter, Chen Yakin's parents walked home. Chen Yakin said, "Let's go," so we did too, and got into the car. Meng Ping got in the car and saw Chen Yakin's blushing face and pouting. Meng Ping laughed and said, "Chen Yakin, you are so stingy." Chen Yakin was stunned for a moment and asked, "What's wrong with me? When I arrived at your door, you didn't even invite me to breakfast," Meng Ping said. Chen Yakin laughed, "Okay, when we get to Shaoxing, I'll treat you to breakfast and I'll eat you up, okay?" Meng Ping said yes and started the car. After driving for 20 minutes, they arrived in downtown Shaoxing. On New Year's Day, the entire city was deserted. All the shops on the roadside were closed. Where could there be food? Meng Ping asked Chen Yakin. "Chen Yakin, are you taking me to eat the northwest wind?" Chen Yakin smiled and said, "There is no northwest wind, but there is food at the Lusun Memorial Hall. It is open 365 days a year." Meng Ping said excitedly, "Are the Baikou Garden and Sanwei bookstore also there?" "Yes, there are also Lusun's former residence and Xianheng Hotel." "Can I invite you to have lunch at Xianheng Hotel?" "Haha, there is also the Xianheng Hotel. Where Kong Yuji went, there are fennel beans and stinky tofu, right?" Meng Ping laughed and said, "This trip is worth it. I invite you to lead the way." Chen Yakin asked curiously, "Why are you so excited?" "Of course I'm excited. When we were studying, half of the Chinese books were written by Lu Xun, such as Baikou Garden, Sanwei Bookstore, and Xianheng Hotel. I haven't been yearning for those since I was a child." Meng Ping shouted, and Chen Yakin also laughed, finally understanding that when she was studying, her Chinese language book was also half a copy of Lu Xun. As a Shaoxing native, of course she was only proud. "Thank you for the reward at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, Dal Tin Soldier, and reading the book every day. Thank you to Sinful Orchid Finger and book friend 1611010059355617 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1132. They arrived at Xianheng Hotel, and the door was indeed open. On New Year's Day, there were no tourists in the entire area, and the hotel was deserted, with only 2 tables of guests. The commemorative significance of this hotel is probably more than the actual economic benefits and the customer's dining experience. Even in winter, all the door panels are removed and the store is open. Sitting inside to eat is no different from sitting in the open air. The cold wind blows from it was pouring in from outside, and it was freezing cold. Inside the shop, there are black wooden tables and stools, and a row of wine jars are piled near the foot of the wall. The store is on the street, one on the left and the other on the right. There are 2 square-shaped wooden counters on both sides. The one on the right retains the one described in Lu Xun's book. It is tall. Sitting inside, you really can't see the outside. He put on his coat, crossed his legs, put a cattail bag underneath, and hung it on his shoulders with a straw rope. Kong Yuji's hands were full of mud, so he walked here with these hands. There is also a sign hanging on the wall next to the counter, which reads 019 Money Kong Yuji June 3 RD. This high counter is where you order drinks and pay. The counter over there, which is lower than here, sells bags of fennel beans, dried tofu, and rice wine. Meng Ping and Chen Yakin found a table in the corner and sat down. It was a little sheltered from the wind. The two of them sat there, rubbing their hands in the heat and tapping their feet. Today's weather was really too cold. The waiter brought the menu and Chen Yakin asked Meng Ping to order. Meng Ping said, I don't know what to eat, so you order. Chen Yakin smiled and ordered a few of the signature dishes here, which are all home-cooked dishes, such as fried stinky tofu, fish with minced chicken, braised pork with pickled vegetables, and steamed double stinky, which is stinky tofu and moldy amaranth stems steamed together. Finally, let's have another dish of drunken shrimp. This is made of live river shrimp, soaked in a glass cup, with Shaoxing old wine and condiments added. Cover the lid and let it suffocate for more than 10 minutes. The shrimp inside are all suffocated by the old wine, but the whole body is still white and translucent, which means it tastes fresh. The waiter warmed the wine for them. Chen Yakin drank with Meng Ping. After 2 drinks, Chen Yakin's face turned red. Meng Ping also felt that after drinking the hot wine, his body warmed up and he was not as cold as before, so he started to drink. Lost appetite. After finishing the meal, Chen Yakin refused to let Meng Ping pay the bill. Meng Ping laughed and said, there is no reason for men and women to go out to eat together and let the woman pay the bill. Chen Yakin choked back and said, I am the host and you are the guest. There is no reason for the host to let the guests pay the bill. Meng Ping couldn't argue with her, so he had to admit defeat and let her pay the bill at the high counter. He walked to the short counter and bought a lot of fennel beans, almost finishing up the inventory on the counter. Chen Yakin was shocked when she came back. Jump, she asked, why did you buy so many fennel beans? Chen Yakin shook her head. She really couldn't think of anything delicious about these fennel beans. Meng Ping smiled and said, give it away, Kong Yuji's fennel beans, what you want is not the taste, but the culture. What you want is the 4 words Xianheng Hotel on the packaging bag. Chen Yakin said okay, let's put the culture on the car. Meng Ping bought too much, and the two of them were carrying a large vest bag in each hand, and there was still more to carry. The waiter helped them carry it and put it into the trunk. Half of the trunk was filled. Chen Yakin said to the waiter, you probably all I've never seen anyone buy so many fennel beans, right? The waiter smiled and said, no, I have worked here for 3 years and this is the first time I have encountered it. Meng Ping started the car, turned on the air conditioner, and let Chen Yakin sit in the car. Meng Ping told her to wait for me for a while, and then he walked away. Chen Yakin sat in the car and watched him. She saw him walk to the high counter and buy 4 bottles of Maotai liquor and 4 cartons of Zonghua cigarettes. Chen Yakin understood that Meng Ping had already decided to have dinner at their house. At this time, he went to his house. You can't go empty-handed, and tobacco and alcohol are the eternal gifts given during the spring festival. When you don't know what to give, yes, just give tobacco and alcohol. Chen Yakin pursed her lips and smiled. She felt that Meng Ping was really polite, and she felt that she was very comfortable when she was with him. He was not pretentious, very honest, and did not have so much hypocrisy or quarrel with him. When women are together, they will deliberately flatter you. There is always some kind of intention behind this flattery. Chen Yakin pretended not to know anything. Watching Meng Ping come back, he put the cigarettes and wine in the trunk, and then got in the car. He didn't say anything, but asked Chen Yakin where to go. Chen Yakin asked back, are you going to the museum, the former residence, the Baiko garden or the Sanwei bookstore? They are all very close. Meng Ping said, go to Baiko garden. Okay, get out of the car, Chen Yakin said and opened the door. What? You can just walk there. It's only a few minutes away and you can't park there, Chen Yakin said. The two people got off the car and walked over. Sure enough, they arrived in just a few minutes. They bought tickets and entered the garden. Meng Ping saw that there was an ordinary vegetable garden inside, covering an area of about 1 acre, with several vegetable plots and a few tall trees, but nothing else. Meng Ping was disappointed and asked Chen Yakin, this is the Baiko garden, the one owned by Lu Suan? Yes, Chen Yakin nodded. But there is nothing here, Meng Ping said. Chen Yakin couldn't help laughing and said, then what do you want here? Giant pandas or giraffes? Meng Ping was stunned for a moment. Thinking about it, it's true. Do you think there should be something else? When Lu Sun was a child, this place was probably even more shabby than it is now. Green vegetable beds, smooth stone well fences, tall honey locust trees, purple mulberries, wasps, crickets, oilings, centipedes, cantharides, and fleece flower root. If you look for them, can't you still find them all? If you can't find them, then it's also the wrong season. Besides, what else do you want to see when you go to this herb garden? Meng Ping felt that what he wanted to see should be something else, but he couldn't tell what it was specifically, but he knew that what he wanted to see must have disappeared. I was deceived by Lu Suan, Meng Ping cursed, feeling empty in his heart. Chen Yakin chuckled. Where should we go next? Chen Yakin asked, Sanwei bookstore or former residence? Meng Ping shook his head and said dejectedly, I don't want to go anywhere. If I don't go, I still have a good memory. When I go, I hear the sound of dreams breaking, and the dream of Baiko garden is broken. Chen Yakin looked at him and continued to smile. Chen Yakin said, I also think that the most comfortable and suitable place to be on such a day is to sit by the stove, drink tea, and eat melon seeds and peanuts while warming up. Let's go back. Meng Ping sighed and said okay. After returning to the parking place and getting in the car, Meng Ping started the car and drove on the streets of Shaoxing, looking around. What are you looking for? Chen Yakin asked. Meng Ping said, I'll find a hotel somewhere and go through the check-in procedures first so that I can come directly in the evening. Chen Yakin bit her lip and thought for a moment. She said, forget it. You've already paid for dinner. Why don't you make the bed for you too? Otherwise, running around would be inconvenient. By the way, as long as you don't mind the poor conditions. Chen Yakin looked at Meng Ping and said. I don't like it. I'm not a young man. I've been sleeping on the sofa in the office for several years. As long as you don't disturb me, I beg you to adopt him. Chen Yakin chuckled, and she said yes, I will adopt you, and you can call me Mom. They returned to Chen Yakin's home and parked the car on the drying ground. Meng Ping took out cigarettes and wine from the trunk and told Chen Yakin apologetically that he didn't even see an open store. Otherwise, he should give it to your mother. They buy King Chunbeo. Do you Zhejiang people all like King Chunbeo? Chen Yakin couldn't help laughing. She said that's enough, that's enough. For one meal, in exchange for so many things like yours, our family has already made a profit. Meng Ping still felt guilty and continued, can fennel beans be used? Chen Yakin laughed, we locals can't taste any culture from fennel beans. We make them at home. I guarantee the taste is better than that. Let's go quickly. Meng Ping sighed and said, okay, that's all. Chen Yakin looked at him, nodded, praised and joked, yes, you are really sensible. The two of them entered the house. Chen Yakin's grandma, aunt, and mother were all busy in the kitchen. Grandpa and father were sitting on the edge of a large brazier to warm themselves up. The charcoal in the brazier was peeling off, which made people feel warm at first sight. Seeing them when they came in, the two people quickly stood up and called Mengping to sit over the brazier. Mengping put the things on the table, and Chen Yakin pulled him towards the brazier, shouting, "It's so cold, so cold." Chen Yakin's aunt had already brought a teacup, placed it on the bench next to Mengping, and invited him to drink tea. Mengping quickly said thank you, thank you. Mengping took out a cigarette from his pocket and handed it to Chen Yakin's grandfather and father. The two of them took it. Chen Yakin had already used a tong to take a piece of red coal from the brazier, and approached the three people's faces to help them smoke. Light. Chen Yakin's father asked Mengping, "The boss is so busy, he still has to go to work on the first day of the new year, and he still has to go to Shaoxing City to do business?" Mengping was embarrassed and smiled. Chen Yakin said seriously, "Yes, he came to find culture and dreams, but his dreams were broken." Mengping couldn't help laughing. My father was confused. Grandpa didn't hear clearly and asked, "What's broken?" "Dream when you sleep at night," Chen Yakin said. Grandpa shook his head, not understanding what it meant, but he said, "That thing is not worth a piece of copper. If it breaks, it will break." Chen Yakin and Mengping laughed. Chen Yakin's mother came over with a tray containing melon seeds, peanuts, and sesame candies. Chen Yakin took it and placed it between herself and Mengping. At the same time, she used Ben's words to say something to her mother. He nodded and walked away. After a while, she came over with a plate. Mengping saw that there was a plate of fennel beans in the plate. Chen Yakin said to him, "Try it, we make it at home." Mengping tasted it and found that it tasted better than the Xianheng Hotel. Chen Yakin looked at him and smiled, "Did you hear the sound of broken dreams again? Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you Gu-chan for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1133. The four people sat and chatted. After a while, Chen Yakin's father and grandfather were called to help. Grandpa sat in front of the stove to add firewood and stuffed the firewood one by one into the stove. The father held a knife, chopping a piece of dark ribs. After it was chopped, Chen Yakin's mother took it to wash, then put it on a plate. When she brought it back, there were two pots on the wood stove. The one on the outside was used for cooking, and the one on the inside had a steamer sitting on it. Chen Yakin's mother put the plate of dark ribs into the steamer. There is also a tiled platform in the kitchen. On the platform is a gas stove, with two casseroles sitting on the two burners above. It seems that all the stoves in the house have been put to use today. Chen Yakin's family knew that Chen Yakin had to work overtime yesterday and could not go home, so she could only come back today, so she simply ate yesterday. Meaning, today's meal was prepared for the eve dinner, and with the addition of Mengping, it became even more important. There was a lot of fanfare. Several old people were busy, while Chen Yakin and Mengping continued to sit and warm themselves by the fire. Mengping asked, "Don't we need to go over and help?" Chen Yakin smiled and shook her head, "No need, there is no need for 5 people to prepare a dinner. If we go there, it will only cause chaos." Mengping nodded and continued to eat his fennel beans. A plate of fennel beans was almost finished by him. Chen Yakin smiled and said, "This stuff makes your stomach bloated. Eat less, otherwise you won't be able to eat dinner." Mengping said okay and then put the plate down. Mengping saw his aunt busy in the kitchen and asked Chen Yakin, "Why did he see your aunt but not your uncle?" "My uncle is dead," Chen Yakin said. Mengping said sorry quickly, and Chen Yakin smiled and said, "It doesn't matter, he has been dead for more than 10 years. My aunt's son, my brother, is in the army again. He only comes back to visit relatives every 2 or 3 years. My aunt thinks she is alone. It was too lonely to live in my own home, so I came to live in ours. Mengping nodded, understanding. You're the only one in your family. You don't have any younger brothers or sisters? Mengping asked, feeling strange in his heart that at Chen Yakin's age and living in a rural area, she shouldn't be an only child. What are you doing, checking your household registration? Chen Yakin asked with a smile, but she continued, no, my mother was in poor health when she was young. She couldn't give birth to one of me. No, I can't tell. It doesn't look very good. Why not? I mean, when I was young, this person was still weird. As my mother got older, her health got better and better. She often said that it was God's rule that she could only have someone like me. Child Chen Yakin smiled. Mengping couldn't continue to eat fennel beans, and Mengping always felt that he had nowhere to go. He held a poker in his hand, and while talking to Chen Yakin, he kept using the poker to stir the fire in the brazier, not to stir up the fire, but to stir up the fire. It's purely for fun. Chen Yakin looked at him and chuckled. Mengping asked curiously, why are you laughing? Don't you know that children who play with fire during the day wet the bed at night? Chen Yakin asked. Mengping also laughed, and put down the tongs embarrassedly. After a while, he couldn't help but pick it up again. Only then did he think of it and looked at Chen Yakin. Chen Yakin smiled and said, let's play, let's play. Anyway, you just sleep for one night. It doesn't matter if you pee. You won't sleep again tomorrow. It was getting dark outside, and the dishes had begun to be served over there. After a while, an 8 immortals table was filled with dishes and plates. Chen Yakin's mother invited them to come over for dinner. Chen Yakin stood up and led Mengping to the stairs to wash his hands. Before going back to the hall, on the 8 immortals table, there was a pig's head in the middle, with fish, shrimp, and chicken on the side, surrounded by 10 sumptuous dishes. Several dishes. Chen Yakin's father asked Mengping to sit on the upper seat facing the door, but Mengping refused no matter what. In the end, his grandparents sat on the upper seat. Mengping and Chen Yakin sat on the left, and her mother and aunt sat opposite them. Chen Yakin's father sat alone. People, sitting with their backs to the door. The wine is already warm and served in a thermos so it doesn't get cold. Chen Yakin carried the thermos bottle and walked around the table, adding wine to wanli in front of each of them. Even her grandmother, mother, and aunt each poured half a bowl of wine. The 3 men, naturally full. After pouring the wine, Chen Yakin shouted, I'll take it apart, I'll take it apart. Mengping didn't know what she was going to take apart, so she saw her mother hand her a knife. It turned out that she was going to take apart the pig's head. Chen Yakin took a pig tooth alveolar bone and a large piece of meat, put it in front of Mengping, and said to him, I'll give you this walnut meat. Mengping picked it up and took a bite, leaving a fragrant aroma in his mouth. The pig's head had been salted and steamed to a pulp in a steamer. Mengping couldn't help but exclaim, this is too delicious. Everyone else at the table laughed. Chen Yakin took it apart while she was doing it. By the time she finished taking it apart, most of the pig's head had been divided. She also sat down and began to eat the pork head. After Mengping finished eating, Chen Yakin brought him another piece. Mengping then thought that he was too busy eating the pig head meat and did not toast to everyone. He quickly raised the wine bowl and toasted his grandfather and grandma first. After a round of toasts, and just as she sat down, Chen Yakin took another piece of the dark ribs that her father was chopping in front of her and gave them to Mengping. She told him that this is our Shaoxing specialty, the sauced pork ribs. Try it quickly. Taste. Only then did Mengping realize that the dark ribs were marinated in soy sauce and dried in the sun. Meng Ping took a bite and found it to be indescribably delicious. It tasted very similar to sauce duck, but the meat was chewier and more fragrant than sauce duck. It's delicious, Meng Ping kept nodding. This whole night, he didn't even know how many times he had to nod his head to express his praise. There were so many delicious things that he couldn't even compare them to see which one was more delicious than the other. Anyway, it's delicious. After this meal, Meng Ping was full, and Chen Yakin asked him if he wanted to continue warming himself by the fire or go outside for a walk. Meng Ping said quickly, "I need to go for a walk, I'm eating so much that I can't even sit down." Chen Yakin said, "Okay, then I will accompany you for a walk." The two of them walked out of the courtyard and passed by the drying area. Chen Yakin took him, not towards the brightly lit village, but towards the dark outside of the village. Someone called them from behind, and when they turned around, it was Chen Yakin's father who chased him out. He seemed to know that they were going out of the village, so he caught up with a flashlight and gave it to them. On the night of the first day of the Lunar New Year, the moon in the sky had only a thin and shallow bend, but this place was far away from the city, and the stars were huge, so the earth was not dark. The two people walked in the dark for a while. Adapted. The environment here was familiar to Chen Yakin. She had a flashlight in her hand, but she didn't turn it on. Not far from the village, the two people came to an unknown small river. Shaoxing is a water town. There are such crisscrossing rivers everywhere in the region, like capillaries, distributed between villages, towns, and fields. They saw a small stone pier by the river. There was an awning boat tied to the pier, and the roof of the canopy had been folded to one side. Meng Ping was very interested and asked Chen Yakin, could he sit on it? Of course, Chen Yakin said. When the two people walked down, the boat was shaking more than Meng Ping imagined. If it weren't for Chen Yakin holding the bow, Meng Ping would almost fall down in the cabin. Chen Yakin and Meng Ping said, "Sit down, just sit down." Meng Ping sat down, and sure enough, after the center of gravity was lowered, the boat was no longer as rocking as before. After Chen Yakin saw that Meng Ping was seated, she untied the cable, got on the boat lightly, and sat down face to face with Meng Ping. She picked up the oar in the cabin and started rowing. The boat immediately left the dock and headed forward. "Is it okay if we just row other people's boats away?" Meng Ping asked. "What does it matter? We can just paddle back later," Chen Yakin said. At night, Meng Ping slept in Chen Yakin's room, and Chen Yakin went next door to sleep with her aunt. Chen Yakin led Meng Ping to brush her teeth and wash her face in the bathroom at the head of the corridor on the second floor. As soon as Meng Ping returned to the room, Chen Yakin followed with half a basin of cold water and a hot water bottle. She and Meng Ping explain. "Soak your feet to make yourself comfortable." Meng Ping quickly said, "Thank you. When you finish washing, the water will stay in the basin. No need to pour it." "I will pour it again tomorrow morning," Chen Yakin warned. Meng Ping said yes. "Also, if you sleep in tomorrow morning, I will call you so you don't have to get up too early." Chen Yakin smiled and said, "We won't go back until tomorrow afternoon." Meng Ping said, "Okay, I understand." Both of them were silent. After a while, Chen Yakin whispered, "Then I went to sleep." Meng Ping nodded and said yes. Chen Yakin opened the door and went out, closing the door gently. Meng Ping heard her walking to the next door and heard the sound of the door next door and her aunt's voice. Meng Ping brought the wash basin to the bed, added hot water, sat on the bed and washed his feet. After washing, he saw Chen Yakin bringing it as a foot cloth for him. It was a new towel with a paper label on it. Meng Ping did not tear it off, so Meng Ping had no use for it. Instead, he moved his feet alternately and wiped his feet dry on his trousers. Meng Ping put his feet into his shoes, picked up the foot washing water on the floor, walked to the bathroom at the end of the corridor, poured out the water in the basin, swung the basin with water, and then came back with the empty basin. Meng Ping took off his clothes and pants and sat on the bed. He was surprised to find that Chen Yakin had stuffed a hot water bottle into the bed at some point. The whole bed was warm. Meng Ping's heart moved and he felt warm. Meng Ping sat blankly on the bed and looked around. Chen Yakin's room was very plain and elegant, even a little too plain. There were no celebrity posters on the walls like most girls' rooms. It was getting late, and the night in the countryside was extremely quiet. Meng Ping could hear one or two dogs barking in the distance. The barking was so incomprehensible that it was embarrassed to continue barking. Meng Ping also heard the sound of his grandfather coughing upstairs, and the faint sound of Chen Yakin and her aunt talking quietly from next door. I don't know if it was the energy from the night's drinking or something else, but Meng Ping felt slightly dizzy. He turned off the light and lay down. He smelled a faint fragrance on the pillow. This fragrance was Chen Yakin's. This night, Meng Ping slept deeply. He felt as if he was rocking on the awning boat in front, and he soon fell into sleep. This dream should not be broken. Thank you Feng Qingyang and Muren for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1134. Meng Ping and Chen Yakin left just after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Chen Yakin's mother packed a large bag of fennel beans for Meng Ping. Chen Yakin smiled and said, "You give culture to others, keep this local product for yourself." Meng Ping quickly said thank you, thank you. Chen Yakin moved a lot of things into the car, from peanuts and melon seeds to various braised vegetables, to chicken to meat to fish to shrimp, and even tofu and vegetables. Meng Ping said, "What are you doing? Are you a Japanese soldier who is here to raid?" Chen Yakin said, "Eat, Beijing, Molly and the other 3 are still eating instant noodles." Meng Ping understood that he was going to take it back to the company to cope with the past few days. Indeed, it was a bit difficult to go out and buy things these days. After saying goodbye to Chen Yakin and his family, it took more than half an hour on the road. Meng Ping and Chen Yakin returned to Hangzhou. The entire Hangzhou was still deserted, and they were still napping in the first month. Before they arrived at the company, Chen Yakin called and asked Molly and the other 3 to come down and help get things. When they arrived, the 3 little girls were already looking forward to it downstairs. They saw them arriving, especially when they brought back so many things. All became excited, and quickly helped move it. Meng Ping brought a big bag of fennel beans up for Molly and Beijing to eat. Chen Yakin said, "Let's have hot pot tonight," and Meng Ping agreed. Lu Ligan and Ren Rongrong were still on the way, and they would arrive at night. They were preparing ingredients. Meng Ping drove the car and wanted to go to the supermarket and buy something. However, he went to 3 stores, all before the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. They closed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Meng Ping could only buy something at a small store. There were 2 boxes of coconut juice and Wangzhe milk. He saw that Wangzhe milk came in 3 colors, red, yellow and green. He asked the boss, but the boss couldn't tell the difference, so he simply bought 2 boxes of each. Looking at the small shop, there seemed to be nothing to buy except tobacco and alcohol, so I bought a box of chewing gum and a box of popping candies. After moving all these things upstairs, Molly and the others screamed when they saw it. Beijing shouted, "Mr. Meng, you are so good. I love Wangzhe milk the most." Meng Ping smiled and told them that they went to the supermarket, but the supermarkets were closed, and this was the only one in the store. When Molly saw that Meng Ping had bought some popping candies, she quickly opened a pack and poured it into her mouth. She puffed out her cheeks and closed her lips tightly. The popping candies were in her mouth, peeling and dancing. Molly's eyes widened. Everyone was amused by her behavior and laughed. The water in the electric pot was already boiling. Chen Yakin invited everyone to sit down and start eating hot pot around the table. The dishes on the table were all brought from Chen Yakin's home. She seemed to be fine at home and looked the same. There is nothing missing, even the seasonings are complete. Meng Ping felt that this Chen Yakin was really a woman who knew how to live a good life. Halfway through their meal, Lu Ligan and Ren Rongrong arrived. They also brought a lot of things. They couldn't even put them in the refrigerator. They put them indoors. The air conditioning was so strong and they were worried that it would break. Chen Yakin said, "I have a solution. Put it in a plastic bag, then tie it up with a rope and hang it outside the window. In such cold weather, the outside is a natural refrigerator." Several other women applauded, and Lu Ligan cursed, "If the rope is broken or the bag is torn, it will kill someone if it falls. Are you willing to die? It's true that long hair means short knowledge." Several women were laughing, and Ren Rongrong said, "If you have short hair, please give me an idea." Lu Ligan looked at Ren Rongrong and Chen Yakin and asked, "The refrigerator here is full, the refrigerator in your room is also full?" The two of them were stunned for a moment, then they figured it out, and everyone laughed. After dinner, Meng Ping was about to return to Nanjing. Chen Yakin said, "Can't you stay here for one night and go back during the day tomorrow?" Meng Ping can't say it, but I still like to drive at night. Lu Ligan smiled and said that he escaped secretly and had to go back. In fact, Meng Ping didn't sneak out, but sneaked into Hangzhou secretly. Zhang Chen and the others didn't know he was coming. Lu Ligan smiled and said to Meng Ping, "You can say that you just arrived today." Meng Ping said that he would not stay and would go back home to visit. After all, it was the Chinese New Year. On the 5th day of the Lunar New Year, Su Qiaxin called Zhang Chen. As soon as the call came through, Su Qiaxin shouted, "It's not good, it's not good, Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen was startled and asked quickly, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong with Target?" "No, no, they placed the order," Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen scolded, "I'm shocked. Didn't I tell you that I would place the order a long time ago? What's the fuss about this? It's not the Chinese New Year. Why, you don't want them to place the order?" "No, no, Mr. Zhang, do you know how much they laid?" "How many?" "There are 68 high cabinets for wedding dresses, totaling 54,400 pieces, 84 high cabinets for clothing, totaling 1,512,000 pieces, and 7 high cabinets for T-shirts, totaling 245,000 pieces." "So many?" Zhang Chen asked. "Yes, the most important thing is, Mr. Zhang, they require that the first batch of goods be shipped on March 20th. Su Qiaxin called on the phone. Zhang Chen was also surprised, "It's so urgent, isn't it, for the second half of the year?" "I don't know either," Su Qiaxin said. "Oh, wait, Jerry has another email. I just saw it." "Mr. Zhang, please wait." "Okay, calm down and don't panic," Zhang Chen said. "Yeah, I'm calm, Mr. Zhang, I'm watching." Zhang Chen held the phone and waited for a while. Su Qiaxin said, "I understand, Mr. Zhang." Jerry said it in the email. He said that because wedding dresses are not seasonal, our wedding dresses are very popular. They're following the store hopes to have more new styles added, so they ask for early delivery. The biggest sales of T-shirts are in the summer, so they also hope to receive them early, and the clothes they requested to be distributed first can be worn in August or September. If they receive them early, they can sell them in April or May. Wait, blah, blah, anyway, that's hope. Hey, they've got it anyway. I have placed an order, and I wish we could send all the goods earlier, but Mr. Zhang, what should I do?" "What should I do?" Zhang Chen asked. "We don't even have fabric now. Also, when the workers arrive at the factory after the 15th, it will be the end of February. How can they get paid in March?" Su Qiaxin was anxious. "Qiaxin, "Where are you now?" Zhang Chen asked. "I'm in the internet cafe here in my hometown," Su Qiaxin said. "Then you come back tomorrow. Remember, take a plane, not a train. The company will reimburse you for your air ticket." "Okay, thank you, Mr. Zhang. I'll be back tomorrow." "What about Director Zhao and the others?" "I'll call them," Zhang Chen said. "By the way, Qiaxin, please immediately write down the goods to be shipped in March on your MSN. I'll see what fabrics are needed first." Okay, Mr. Zhang, right away." Su Qiaxin was about to hang up, then she remembered and shouted one last time, "Mr. Zhang, Happy New Year." Zhang Chen was also about to say Happy New Year, but Su Qiaxin had already hung up the phone. Zhang Chen smiled and shook his head. "What's wrong?" When Zhang Chen and Su Qiaxin were talking on the phone, Xiao Zhao and Zhang Chen were sitting on the sofa in the living room downstairs. When Zhang Chen hung up the phone, Xiao Zhao asked Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen told her that she had placed an order at Target. It rained a lot. "Really?" Xiao Zhao became excited. "How much?" "The total price should be more than $19 million. There are several orders, and Qiaxin hasn't had time to add them up yet," Zhang Chen said. "So much?" "Yes, more is more, but they require shipments to start in March," Zhang Chen said with a wry smile. "Ah, how come it's too late?" "There is no other way but to rush. People have inspected the factory, but they have inspected our production capacity. According to their calculations, we can definitely produce it. They don't understand that February is a special month in China. I have to go to the company and go to MSN to chat with Zhao's Hailong and Zhao's Hegang. You can also access the computer at home." "It's too slow," Zhang Chen said. "Let's go to the company." "Okay, I'll go with you," Xiao Zhao said. Zhang Chen nodded and said, "Yes, take your car and I want to make a call." The two of them went out. Xiao Fang, Xiaoshu, and Zhang Xiangbei were playing in the yard. When they saw them going out, they wanted to follow them. Xiao Zhao said, "Why are you going? All the shops on the street are closed now. Where is the place?" "It's fun, at home, we come back as soon as we finish our errands." The three of them looked gloomy, and Zhang Chen remembered it. He said, "The zoo is open today, so I can either pass by the zoo and drop you off. When we come back, we can call Xiao Fang on her cell phone." The three people quickly agreed. The five of them walked to the garage together, got into Xiao Zhao's car, left the Huayuan, and rushed to the company. Xiao Zhao drove, and Zhang Chen sat in the passenger seat and picked up his mobile phone. He called Zhao's Hegang first. He told Zhao's Hegang, "Yui and Zhao's Hailong will return to Hangzhou tomorrow. Target has placed an order, but requires delivery in March." "So urgent?" Zhao's Hegang asked. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, there is no way, everyone must come back immediately, contact the workers who can be contacted, and ask them to come back immediately. You and Zhao's Hailong will come back tomorrow first. We have to order all the noodles and accessories so that those factories can also prepare in advance. Kaidi can stay at home for another 2 days. If not, ask the driver to pick her up at that time." Zhao's Hegang hesitated on the phone and hesitated to speak. Zhang Chen was waiting for what he was going to say. Zhao's Hegang had already said, "Okay, we will come back in the evening." Zhao's Hegang and Zhao's Hailong drove the factory's Toyota Overlord this time and returned to their hometown in Kuzhou to celebrate the New Year. The reason why Zhao's Hegang hesitated was because the day after tomorrow, which was the 7th day of the Lunar New Year, the family had already made a reservation to celebrate their grandfather's 80th birthday. Of course the two grandsons should be present. But there was no way. This Target order came out, it was like a rally call. All the soldiers had to return to the team, not to mention that he and Zhao's Hailong were still commanders, so of course they had no chance of saying no. "I can only ask Grandpa to forgive me. You and Zhao's Hailong, go to the city to find an internet cafe immediately. Sue Kioxin has left all the things that will be posted in March on MSN. You can calculate and tell me how much fabric is needed. Everyone is on holiday now. There is no other way. I am the only one who can do it. Call the boss of the fabric factory and urge them to find a way to get started immediately and order the yarn, otherwise it will definitely be too late. Zhang Chen said. Zhao Zhigang said yes, we will go there immediately. After hanging up the phone to Zhao Zhigang, Zhang Chen immediately called Lao Tang and told him that Yu and Shuwen will be back soon. Target has placed an order. There are 7 tall cabinets of t-shirts, 245,000 pieces. But it is required that the first container of 35,000 pieces be shipped on March 20th. It's so urgent, then we'll be back right away, Old Tang said. Do you have fabrics in your warehouse? Zhang Chen asked. There must be 10,000 to 20,000 pieces of fabric. If there are not enough, I will ask the factory to send it immediately. The factory should have it in stock, Old Tang said. Zhang Chen said yes, you can arrange it immediately. From this point of view, there is no problem with the fabrics here in Laotang. The fabrics of the t-shirts are all the same. The difference is the printing and pattern. These are matters in Laotang's own factory. The problem of Laotang is the same now, that is, to call the workers back to the factory as soon as possible. Zhang Chen can rest assured that now there is Lin Shuwen beside Old Tang. Lin Shuwen's ability to handle these matters is much better than that of Old Tang. Old Tang can just be his assistant, open the door for Lin Shuwen and squeeze out toothpaste. Thinking of this, Zhang Chen couldn't help laughing. Xiao Zhao looked at him and asked, why are you laughing? I think of Old Tang's overalls, Zhang Chen said and laughed, and Xiao Zhao was puzzled by his laughter. Xiaoshu and Zhang Xiangbei in the back row also laughed when they heard Zhang Chen's inexplicable words. By this time, the car had already driven onto Huapeo Road and was almost at the zoo. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you Love Purple Only, Arongta Culturating, Kegwan Suiwa, Fan, and Book Friend 1610250923284009 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. Well, 1112 underwent major surgery and was finally released today. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1135. Zhang Chen arrived at the office and turned on the computer. Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Hailong were not online yet. When he saw that Su Kioxin was still online, he asked, have you booked your flight tickets? Su Kioxin immediately replied, I have already made a reservation. It will be around 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. The flight from Wuhan to Hangzhou will arrive at 11 o'clock. Zhang Chen said yes, I will have someone pick you up at the airport. No need, Mr. Zhang. The airport bus passes by the company gate. I'll take the bus and get to the company first, Su Kioxin said. Zhang Chen agreed, Director Zhao and the others would be back tonight. Very good. Su Kioxin wrote, then added a smiley face and a hug emoticon. Zhang Chen panicked, and then he understood that for Su Kioxin and the others, hugging was just a way to express their happiness, and it was not as serious as he thought. Although they were only less than 10 years apart, online, they were already a generation gap quickly formed, and there were many internet terms that Zhang Chen no longer knew, even though he was surfing the internet every day. It seems that the internet really makes people grow up and grow old quickly. Zhang Chen looked at the list left by Su Kioxin on MSN. He took a pen and paper and a calculator and made a rough estimate of the cotton and linen fabrics. He had a good idea first. Zhao Zhigang still needed to calculate the precise figures, especially he didn't know the inventory situation of fabrics in the factory, but Zhao Zhigang knew. Looking at the wedding dress, Zhao Zhigang picked up the phone and called Wang Hainiao. Their wedding dresses were all made of chemical fiber fabrics, and the ones they used were relatively miscellaneous. Zhang Chen handed over all the wedding dress fabric business to Wang Haniao. He was familiar with all the fabric factories in Qiqiao and Shenzhen. It was more convenient for him to find it than for Zhang Chen and the others to find it themselves. Moreover, the price is even cheaper. The most important thing is that he is an expert in this field. He is more familiar with fabric quality control than they are and will not be fooled by weaving factories. Wang Haniao adds 2 to 3 cents of profit per meter of fabric, and it is still cheaper than finding it themselves. How can they have so much time to grind with fabric factories every day, and then compare and lower prices between different factories? Chemical fiber fabrics are different from cotton and linen, and their prices fluctuate much more. Zhang Chen told Wang Haniao about the matter. Wang Haniao said there was no problem. When the factory director Xiao Zhao figures it out, you tell me and I will see which weaving factory it is from. I will go to their factory director's house. Zhang Chen said yes. After making the call to Wang Haniao, Zhang Chen looked at the computer screen again. Zhao's Hegang was already online. Zhang Chen clicked on it. Zhao's Hegang only typed the words "we are calculating" and then there was no movement. Neither did Zhang Chen. Go and disturb them, knowing that the two of them must be calculating in the internet cafe at this time. After a while, Zhang Chen's phone rang. Zhang Chen answered it and it was Zhao's Hegang. Zhao's Hegang said to him, "Boss, I figured it out. Take a piece of paper and take notes." Zhang Chen said yes and took the pen and paper. He knew that Zhao's Hegang thought that he was too slow in typing, so he might as well call directly. Zhang Chen said, "You say it?" Zhao's Hegang told Zhang Chen the name, specification, and quantity of the cotton and linen fabrics he needed, and then said, "Zhao's Hailong's place, he told you online." Zhang Chen took a look, and sure enough, Zhao's Hailong had typed out the list of fabrics on MSN. Zhang Chen couldn't help but smile and thought that these two brothers were also fun. Zhao's Hailong was the opposite of Zhao's Hegang. He felt that it was too tedious to talk on the phone and it was better to go online directly. There was a 3-year age difference between the two of them, but their habits and dependence on the internet seemed to be the same as those of the two. On behalf of others, Zhang Chen and Zhao's Hegang said, "Also, you should arrange it immediately. Put the most time-consuming and troublesome accessories first, and contact them." Zhao's Hegang agreed, and Kaidi was already lining up. "Haha, it looks like the whole family went to the internet cafe." Zhang Chen told Wang Haniao what Zhao's Hailong had reported. Wang Haniao listened and said, "There are 4 companies that have no problem. They have the goods in stock in their warehouses. I will ask them to send it immediately. 2 of them want to order. I go tomorrow." "Where are these 2 families?" Zhang Chen asked. "They are all in Jianqing, but the bosses, one is from Qiqiao and the other is from Zheji. I will come down here in one trip." "Well, thank you for your hard work," Zhang Chen said. Wang Haniao smiled and said, "If you make money, why do you have to work hard? It's not hard." Zhang Chen then called Mr. Li of Zhangjiagang Sankei Weaving Co., Limited. The phone rang 6 or 7 times before he was picked up. Mr. Li's voice on the phone was vague, as if he hadn't woken up. Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Mr. Li, what's wrong? Did you drink too much at noon?" "No, Mr. Zhang, he's sleeping," Mr. Li said. Zhang Chen shouted, "No way, Mr. Li, are you sleeping in broad daylight?" "It's broad daylight." Mr. Li also laughed, "It's late at night here." Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment, then understood, and asked, "Mr. Li, where have you been traveling?" "USA. It's really far away, so I don't care. I have to bother you even if you are in the United States." Mr. Li smiled and said, "You are just disturbing me." Zhang Chen told him about the fabrics. He knew that in Mr. Li's factory, all the fabrics were processed according to orders. There would not be a lot of inventory and they had to be customized, so Mr. Li's place was the most important. After hearing what Zhang Chen said about the quantity of fabrics, Mr. Li was a little embarrassed. He said, "Mr. Zhang, the factory is on holiday. As you know, this factory will not start work normally until the workers come back after 15 days. What date is it? You want me to make it on the 25th of this month. How is that possible?" Zhang Chen said, "Brother, after I took the fabric, I still need to print it and produce it. It will be shipped on March 20th. If you don't give it to me on the 25th, how will I be able to make it in time?" Mr. Li smiled bitterly and said, "I really want to ensure that you can make it in time, but I won't be able to make it here in time. I have to order the yarn first. I don't even know if the yarn is in stock. Can you think of a way, Mr. Li? We are all human beings. We are flexible and can come up with ways. I will also call the workers back in advance." Zhang Chen said, "By the way, Mr. Li, you isn't it in the United States? Then this batch of goods is going to the United States. Do you want to see how your fabrics sell in the United States?" "What, you mean I can see my own fabrics here in the United States?" Mr. Li became interested. "Of course," Zhang Chen said, "at dawn, let the tour guide take you to a Target supermarket in any city. If you find the BMT brand clothing, it is ours. You should recognize those fabrics. My surname is not Li." Mr. Li chuckled, "Okay, I'll go take a look when I get up." "This is great. Mr. Li, I'm happy, but you must give me a guarantee on this fabric. Also, don't be cunning and try to raise the price. The Americans didn't give me a higher price. They don't care if we are celebrating the Spring Festival." As Zhang Chen said, Mr. Li laughed. This smile made him sober. He said, "Okay, I will think of a way. I really have no choice when I meet you, Mr. Zhang. You are my ancestor. Mr. Li, should I submit the order to you or? It's better to pass it to the factory. I'll let someone go there," Mr. Li said. After calling Mr. Li, Zhang Chen let out a long sigh. Xiao Zhao looked at him and smiled. Mr. Li agreed. Zhang Chen nodded. He knew that there was no problem with Mr. Li here. Mr. Li, an old turtle, would never stick to his words when he promised you. Especially when he knew that the more nervous you were and the more critical it was, the less likely he would be. He will stick to his words and tell you clearly that it is okay or that there is no problem. He is leaving room for himself and a way out. If it is not completed, you can't blame him too much. But the good thing about this person is that he is sure and measured in what he does. When he tells you that I will give it a try or that I think of a solution, he actually already has a solution. You can rest assured that he will definitely not something wrong with you. Therefore, Zhang Chen knew that there was no problem with Mr. Li here. Even in the middle, you didn't have to push him. He took the order without saying a word and wouldn't even sign back. If he signed back, he would have his own way out. If it is blocked and there is no room left, he will act stupid. He is an old customer. He won't even ask for a deposit. If he does, he will acknowledge the order. He will continue to remain silent and pretend not to know. But he won't deliver all the fabrics to you on the 25th, he will definitely deliver all the fabrics to you on the 22nd or 3rd, and then he will leave with all the fabrics. Mr. Li is such a person. Such a person can make people feel at ease. Zhang Chen remembered something. He called Old Tang and asked him, "When will you get home?" During the Spring Festival, Old Tang and Lin Shuwen also lived in Dehuayuan. Lin Shuwen's villa in Dehuayuan was only about 200 meters away from Zhang Chen's. Old Tang said, "Probably around 10 o'clock. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, you are here, come to my house for supper, I will ask the two factory directors Zhao to come too, and we can discuss it." Old Tang said yes. Zhang Chen called Zhao Zhigang again and asked him, "What time will you come out in the evening?" Zhao Zhigang said that he would come out after dinner, probably around 6 o'clock. It takes about 5 hours to drive from Zhao Zhigang's hometown to Hangzhou. Zhang Chen and Zhao Zhigang said, "Don't take Jinhua, take National Highway 320, come from Tonglifuyang, go to my house in Dehuayuan for supper, and let's discuss it." Zhao Zhigang said yes, let's try to come out as early as possible. Zhang Chen hung up the phone, sat there and stretched. Xiao Zhao asked him, "Has everything been implemented?" Zhang Chen nodded and said, "Finally everything has been arranged, and the next step is our own company's affairs." Xiao Zhao looked at him and asked, "Dear, do you feel strange?" "What's weird?" Zhang Chen asked. "Where has the pole been these days?" Xiao Zhi said. Zhang Chen also remembered, "Yes, today is the 5th day of the Lunar New Year, where has the pole been these days? It's not normal. Tan Shahen is not in Hangzhou and Zhi is alone. He must not be in the room now. Otherwise, as long as he hears any movement here, he would have come running over." "Will he go to Yongcheng to find Sister Shahen?" Xiao Zhao asked. Zhang Chen said with a smile, "No, he doesn't have the courage. The pole is not afraid of anything but the sky and the earth. He is just afraid of Lao Tan asking him something." Zhang Chen felt uneasy as he spoke. He remembered that when he was on the phone with him on New Year's Eve, he said that he went to play with Fan Jiangguo. With Fan Jiangguo, what could these two sluts do together? What could Lu Li do? "Rod, don't revert to your humming old ways." Zhang Chen immediately wanted to call Lu Ligan, but his cell phone rang. It was Lu Ligan. Zhang Chen quickly picked it up, and Lu Ligan shouted, "Zhang Chen, where have you been? Why are there only 4 old comrades at home?" "We are in the office and will be back soon," Zhang Chen and Lu Ligan said. "Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you Lao Zi for your monthly ticket. Thanks for all the reading and votes. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1136. This year, because Xiao Zhao's parents came, Zhang Chen's parents did not go back to Yongcheng to pay New Year's greetings. They called instead. They did not go to Yongcheng, but many people came from Yongcheng to Hangzhou to pay New Year's greetings. 4 old people spend their time cooking and washing dishes and vegetables every day. But in fact, Xiao Zhao's mother and Zhang Chen's mother were doing the work. The 2 men could only stand by and help each other. The kitchen was not a suitable place for them to stay. In the afternoon, when I had nothing to do, Xiao Zhao's father and Zhang Chen's father walked around the community. Xiao Zhao's father is an expert at growing vegetables and crops. When he came, Zhang Chen's father was very happy. Apart from walking around the community every day, the 2 of them watched the agricultural channel on TV and talked about farming. They had a great time. Xiao Zhao's mother was surprised and asked Zhang Chen's mother if her father-in-law had ever farmed. Zhang Chen's mother laughed and said, "He only gets half a bucket of water. He actually doesn't understand anything. Whatever he sows, he will die. The potatoes he grows are only as big as a fingernail, and the vegetables he grows are still bitter. All day long, he will die growing vegetables. I also have to go to the market to buy vegetables every day." Xiao Zhao's mother laughed. 2 male agricultural enthusiasts were walking around the community. What made them feel regretful was that the community was so big and there were open spaces everywhere, but none of them were suitable for growing vegetables, and there were no households in it. In your own front and backyards, set up a melon shed and plow some land. The 2 people moved from inside the community to outside the community, and finally found a piece of wasteland of 20 or 30 square meters by the stream. Xiao Zhao's father did not mean square, but divided. He and Zhang Chen's father said, there is half a piece of land here, so you can grow a lot of vegetables. Zhang Chen's father was very interested after hearing this. When he returned home, he saw that Zhang Chen and the others had not come back. Lu Ligan had come. Zhang Chen's father asked Lu Ligan to take him and Xiao Zhao's father back to the city. Go to splendid home, he wants to go home to get something. Lu Ligan said yes, but looking at the two of them, he couldn't even fit in his car, so he told Zhang Chen's father that my car could only seat one person. Zhang Chen's father scolded, what kind of crappy car did you buy? You can carry one person in front and one in front of someone else's bicycle. Lu Ligan laughed and said, okay, I will drive on a bus next time, and it will be a two-car bus. Chenchen's car is here, can you drive it? Zhang Chen's father asked. As he said this, Lu Ligan also saw Zhang Chen's car keys lying there quietly on the coffee table. He picked them up and said to leave. Lu Ligan drove the car to the entrance of Jingxiu home. The two old men got out of the car and went back to get their things. He sat in the car and waited. After a while, Lu Ligan was startled. He saw two people carrying came out with a hoe. Lu Ligan quickly got out of the car and asked, Uncle, what are you going to do? Go to Peach Blossom Spring to open up wasteland? In Peach Blossom Spring, digging the land to grow vegetables is not allowed. I know, Zhang Chen's father shouted impatiently, we won't dig inside your shabby community, we will dig outside. It doesn't work outside either. It's all in a closed area, Lu Ligan said. Not in the mountains, but by the stream. There is a wasteland there. As Zhang Chen's father spoke, he roughly described the location of the place to Lu Ligan. Before the Peach Blossom Spring was developed, Lu Ligan didn't know how many times he had been there and walked along the creek so many times. He also remembered that there was about half an inch of wasteland, but that land was only you can still see that in the spring, when the stream water rises, the land will be in the water. It really doesn't matter if you want to use the remaining heat and toss in that place. Lu Ligan and Zhang Chen's father said, if someone comes to take care of it, you should ask him to go to the property manager of our community, and I will say hello to the manager. Zhang Chen's father laughed and said, this is like a human saying. The three people returned to Peach Blossom Spring. Zhang Chen and the others had not returned yet. Zhang Chen's father and Xiao Zhao's father got out of the car and hurried out of the back door of the community to reclaim the wasteland. Lu Ligan followed them. He went over to take a look, then walked back to the property. The manager on duty saw him and walked out quickly. Lu Ligan pointed towards the mountain and said to him, who is that? Zhang Chen's father. He has nothing to do. He is digging and playing by the stream where he comes in. Look at which village this is from. How about a fight with the village? Say hello and say it's my old man digging. The manager quickly said yes, I will invite these people from the village to dinner and hold a group worship tonight, and I will ask them and talk to them. Lu Ligan nodded and walked back to Zhang Chen's house. Zhang Chen and the others hadn't come back yet. Lu Ligan walked into the kitchen to see if he could help. The two old comrades inside kicked him out. Lu Ligan he returned to the living room, sat down, picked up his phone, and then made a call to Zhang Chen. When Zhang Chen and the others got home, they were ready to have dinner. Zhang Chen's father and Xiao Zhao's father had not come back yet. Zhang Chen's mother asked Lu Ligan, didn't they go with you? Where did you throw them, already? Lu Ligan laughed and said, how can I control these two land reclamation warriors? Xiaoshu, if you go out of the back door of the community and run up the creek, you can see them digging there. Now, tell them, foolish old man moved a mountain, and it didn't take 1 day to move the mountain, so come back and eat first. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao realized that they had finally found a piece of land to dig, and they laughed. Xiaoshu ran out with Zhang Xiangbei. Zhang Chen asked Lu Ligan, where have you been these days? I haven't gone anywhere. I'm living a life of instant noodles. I sleep until I wake up naturally every day, and then I wake up until I'm naturally sleepy. You don't even care about me. Lu Ligan cursed. Of course he couldn't tell Jiang Chen that Meng Ping was here, and they were all in splendid Jiangnan, watching Chen Yakin and the others making outside offers. He can't care. He's been looking sad these days, Xiao Zhao said with a smile. What? Lu Ligan asked curiously. I'm thinking about agreeing to that, Jessica, Xiao Zhao said. Is there any result? Lu Ligan asked. Jiang Chen shook his head and said to him, I feel like my brain is rusty. Xiaoshu and Zhang Xiangbei led Jiang Chen's father and Xiao Zhao's father back. As soon as they saw them, the two mothers yelled and refused to let them in. Their bodies and shoes were covered with mud. If this was the case, once they come in, the cleanliness of the house will be in vain. They must clean the outside before coming in. Xiao Fang brought them towels, and they simply went to the sink outside and washed them clean before entering the house. Lu Ligan looked at Jiang Chen's father and smiled. He said, Uncle, I think you were born in the wrong place. How could you be born in Yongcheng? It would be great if you were born in Dazai. Jiang Chen's father said boldly, I'm not bragging. If I were born in Dazai, I wouldn't do any worse than that Chen Yonghui. Okay, if you're ambitious, I've asked the manager to tell the village here that if you see any wolf's nest palms here, you can dig them out, Lu Ligan said. I'm going to die, don't let this day pass, Jiang Chen's mother shouted. Jiang Chen's father rolled his eyes at her and cursed, I renovated Hutu Mountain and fought against wolf nest palm just to live a good life. Yes, they renovated Hutu Mountain and grew serious food. What about you? Have you ever grown an edible vegetable? Jiang Chen's mother asked, you still say you want it every day. In scientific farming, a lot of rice soup, milk, and egg drop soup are wasted. Grandpa still buried the treasure of youth under the green vegetables, and poured double treasures on the radish, Zhang Xiangbei shouted, and everyone in the room burst into laughter. Jiang Chen's father chuckled, feeling embarrassed that his grandson had caught him short. While they were still eating, Chu Tianlin came over with her son. Xiao Zhao quickly asked her to eat some more. Chu Tianlin sat down, but her son refused to sit down, saying that he was full. Xiao Shu and Zhang Xiangbei also said that they had eaten. When they were full, they stood up and the three little boys ran out. Lu Ligan was here today. He played cards with Chu Tianlin, Xiao Zhao, and Xiao Fang. Jiang Chen walked to his studio and sat down, but his mind was still blank. Jiang Chen sighed. He stared blankly out the window at the trees swaying in the night. At about 10 o'clock, first three children ran in from outside, and then Lao Tang and Lin Shuwen walked in. The two of them came over with large and small bags in their hands. Lao Tang was from Haimen, and what they carried in their hands were all seafood brought back from home. When people here saw them, they immediately stopped playing cards. They had been playing cards for several hours. The four old people couldn't stand it anymore in front of the TV and went upstairs to sleep. Everyone also felt a little hungry. Chu Tianlin and Xiao Zhao, Xiao Fang, and Lin Shuwen entered the kitchen and said they wanted to prepare seafood hot pot. Old Tang asked Lu Ligan, where is the boss? Lu Li pointed his pole upward and said to him, I'm pulling my hair upstairs. Is it still about that foreign woman? Old Tang asked. Lu Ligan nodded, and Old Tang said, I'll go up and have a look. Don't go, Lu Ligan stopped him, we'll talk about the order when Zhao Zhigang and the others arrive. Old Tang said oh and sat down again, and the two of them continued to smoke. 10 minutes later, Zhao Zhigang, Zhao Hailong and Kaidi also arrived, carrying large and small bags of things they brought from Kuzhu. Everything was spicy. Kaidi got into the kitchen to help. After a while, Xiao Zhao and Kaidi came out. Kaidi was holding a spicy hot pot in her hand. Lu Li Pol stretched his head to look at it and shouted. Are you women doing tricks in the kitchen? turning the seafood hot pot into spicy hot pot. Kaidi and Xiao Zhao laughed. Chu Tianlin then brought out another pot and cursed, "What are you shouting for, what are you shouting for? The seafood hot pot is here, there are 2 hot pots today." Lu Ligan shouted, "This is good. The more tricks like this, the better." Zhang Chen came down from upstairs and saw that everyone was here and the midnight snack was ready. Zhang Chen said okay, and we talked while eating. "Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all a happy life." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1137. After everyone sat down, they drank a drink first, and then immediately got to the point. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Hailong how many people there were in the factory who had not gone back to celebrate the Spring Festival. Zhao Zhigang said, "I have more than 100 there." "There are 72 in my place," Zhao Hailong said. "So accurate?" Zhang Chen asked curiously. "On the way here, I called back and asked them to do the statistics," Zhao Hailong said, and Zhang Chen nodded. "There are also more than 100 people from Hangzhou who originally worked at Kuning Garment Factory. They should be able to come to work immediately after the notice is received," Zhao Zhigang and Zhang Chen said. "Can you notify me?" Xiao Zhao asked. "If you can't be notified, just go home and call," Zhao Zhigang said. Zhang Chen thought for a moment and agreed that tomorrow he would ask Liang Fen, the working class, and Zhao Jingjing to come to the company at 9 o'clock in the morning. They should know the contact information and homes of people like Lao Kuning. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Hailong, "Can the working class be contacted?" Zhao Hailong said, "Okay, they have a phone at home." Zhao Hailong said, picked up the phone and called the working class home number. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao said, "You call Zhao Jingjing, I'll call Ji Ling and ask her to give 2 minutes notice and come to my office tomorrow morning." After 3 phone calls, the first thing was implemented. Zhang Chen then asked Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Hailong how many more workers they could notify tomorrow. Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Hailong did some calculations and told Zhang Chen that about half of them could be notified. The good thing about the workers in the factory is that many workers are brought here by workers. Many of them are either relatives or fellow villagers. Contacting one person is equivalent to contacting several. Zhang Chen, Zhao Zhigang, and Zhao Hailong said, "Let's do this for now." They will keep in touch and produce at the same time every day. After Su Kioxin sorts out all the orders tomorrow, if there is fabric in the factory, they will arrange it immediately. Zhang Chen and Zhao Zhigang said, "In Zhangjiagang, Mr. Li has promised me that it can be delivered before the 25th. Zhao Zhigang said, "Okay, that's about it. Before that, the stock fabrics in the factory can be finished first." "Where are the fabrics at my place?" Zhao Hailong asked. "I don't have much fabric in stock at my place." "I have contacted Wang Haniao. There are 4 kinds of fabrics that are in stock at the factory. He will ask them to find a way to send them out tomorrow. As long as there are 2 that need to be ordered, he will order them tomorrow," Zhang Chen said. "That's okay," Zhao Hailong nodded. "By the way, if you come back from other places in advance, tell them that all the fares will be reimbursed." Zhang Chen told the 2 of them, and both factory director Zhao said yes. This is attractive, and more people will definitely come back. The matter between Sanbao and Xiao Si was roughly settled. Zhang Chen asked Old Tang, "Where are you?" Old Tang said that he contacted me immediately after receiving the call in the afternoon. "There are many people in the province and my fellow countrymen here, so they can basically come back. Also, if Target's work is done, I will expand production there. I have also told the workers that if there are relatives and fellow villagers who are willing to come, bring them over. I may have more people here tomorrow and the day after tomorrow than before. My equipment has also been ordered, and the boss who sells the equipment will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, we will have a meeting with the management committee to expand the venue," Lin Shuwen said. Zhang Chen said, okay, then you won't have a big problem here. Boss, I have another question here, Zhao Zhigang said. What's the problem? Zhang Chen asked. I contacted the printing factory earlier, and they have printing workers. However, the printing master is from Sichuan, and he refused to come back early even if he said nothing. There is no one in the printing factory to print the printing, so it can't be done, Zhao Zhigang said. What's so difficult about this? It's just the silk screen version. I'll go over and help them print it, Old Tang said. There are other versions that I, Old Tang, won't be able to print. When Old Tang said this, everyone laughed. Zhao Zhigang quickly said to Old Tang, I'm sorry, I forgot about you as an expert. Zhang Chen also said, thank you for your hard work and you will overuse your talents for a while. If not, Tianjian can do it, Chu Tianlin said. Oh, that's even more overkill, Old Tang shouted. Zhang Chen and Zhao Zhigang said, you see, your problem is the least of the problems. Zhao Zhigang chuckled, and Old Tang said, Director Zhao, if the printing factory is nagging you again, I can print it for you here. Anyway, the printers have been fine in the past few days. Zhang Chen thought, this is really okay. The t-shirts at Lao Tang's place are different from those at Zhao Zhigang's place. Here, the cutting pieces must be printed first and then sewn. At Old Tang's place, the t-shirts must be made first and printed one piece after another. In the first few days, t-shirts were still being made, and the printer really had nothing to do. Old Tang, you'd better help that printing factory and bring out a printer, Lu Ligan said. If he can't be called at this critical moment, let the boss tell him not to come and stay at home in Sichuan. Old Tang stretched out his fat finger, made a graceful OK gesture, and told Lu Ligan that there was no problem. Okay, everyone use your chopsticks. None of the dishes on this table have been touched yet, Xiao Zhao shouted. The next morning, Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao got up and went to the office. They walked downstairs and saw Lu Ligan lying on the sofa, fast asleep. He drank a lot last night and said he couldn't go back. Xiao Zhao asked him to go to the guest room to sleep, but he said no, and asked him to sleep with Zhang Xiangbei. He couldn't say either, so he found a bunch of VCDs and took them out. He said he wanted to watch a movie, but he was usually too busy to watch it, so he wanted to enjoy it tonight. Xiao Zhao took a blanket from upstairs and gave it to him, then let him go. When Zhang Chen's father and Xiao Zhao's father got up at around 6 o'clock, they saw that the TV was still on in the living room, and Lu Ligan was curled up on the sofa, already asleep, with only a blanket on him. Zhang Chen's father brought a quilt to cover him. The two land reclamation warriors went out without even eating breakfast. They said they would exercise first and then come back, but it was almost 8 o'clock when Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao went downstairs and they didn't come back. Zhang Chen's mother told them that this pole couldn't be woken up no matter what, and the two old men ran out early in the morning and never came back. They didn't even eat breakfast. Chen, go and wake them up. Zhang Chen said yes. He walked to the sofa first, kicked Lu Ligan's butt, and asked him, we are going to the company, will you go with us? Without opening his eyes, Lu Ligan waved twice and muttered, get out of here, don't bother me, wait until I wake up. Zhang Chen was too lazy to pay attention to him anymore. He turned around and walked out of the door. When he opened the door, the crisp cold wind from outside hit his face, making him shiver. He rubbed his hands and trotted all the way out of the back door of the community, running up the creek that flowed into the community. After a while, at the corner, he saw the figures of two land reclamation warriors. Zhang Chen walked looking closer. He was shocked when he saw that the wasteland was piled up like a hill, with a pile of pebbles as big as basketballs. They had moved these pebbles from the creek beach. The two land reclamation warriors were already sweating profusely from work, and they took off their coats and put them aside. Zhang Chen shouted, aren't you growing vegetables? Why are you picking up stones again? Zhang Chen's father raised his thumb and told him that Xiao Zhao's father had experience. He could see that this piece of land looks like this when the water dries up. When spring comes and the water rises, this piece of land will look like this. It will be flooded and our efforts will be in vain. What should we do? Zhang Chen asked. Zhang Chen's father drew a semicircle with his hand and said excitedly, "We need to build a circle of mounds outside here first, and then fill up the soil inside to the same height as the stone mound. This is a good piece of land. What's wrong with the water? It can't be flooded either, haha, it really feels like fighting against the wolf's nest palm." Zhang Chen was stunned. This requires building a home and filling it with soil. How big a project is it? Is it worth it just for such a small piece of land? But then I thought about whether it was worth it or not. Their purpose was mainly to have something to do, to get the sense of accomplishment from clearing the land here and growing vegetables, not for the vegetables themselves. Zhang Chen agreed that he would go home and have breakfast first. After breakfast, he would come over to work. He would not go hungry while working on the revolution. The two old men washed their hands in the stream, picked up their coats from the withered grass on the ground, shook them, put them on their bodies, and followed Zhang Chen back. On the way, Zhang Chen's father said to Zhang Chen for no reason, "Chen Chen, you want to buy me a car?" "What?" Zhang Chen asked. "This land is ready. I often come here to take a look and do some cooking. Where can I leave it uncultivated?" Zhang Chen couldn't help laughing and shouted, "The cost of your kind of food is too high and it takes too much effort. Besides, isn't there a vegetable garden where I live now? That broken piece of land? Huh. Xiao Zhao's father helped me look at it. The poles were messed up in that place, and it was shady. You couldn't see any sunlight all year round. It turned out that there was a lime pond underneath, and there was a lot of dirt in it. Lime, that land is bad, no wonder you can't grow anything good. Then if you want to run often, this is too far. It takes 40 or 50 minutes on the way," Zhang Chen said. "It's not far away if you have a car. 40 or 50 minutes is nothing. Besides, people often come to the house here. Otherwise, why would you buy this house?" Zhang Chen's father said. "Do you want to buy it or not?" "No, I'll buy it myself." Zhang Chen looked at these two land reclamation warriors and couldn't help but want to laugh. Well, one lives in a villa and has to go out to be a stick every day, and the other one wants to come to this villa just because he wants to grow vegetables. What's going on? Zhang Chen smiled and said, "No, even if you buy a car, you can't drive it." "Learn? How difficult is it to learn to drive?" "In the factory, I couldn't master any machine as soon as I got started." "How difficult is it for me?" "No, you'd better not go to school. It's such a long journey, and I'm worried about your safety. In this way, I'll give you a car and a driver. Let him follow you wherever you go every day, okay?" "No," Zhang Chen's father said angrily, "I'm not a capitalist, so I don't need a driver. I'm here to work. I'm followed by a follower every day. No matter what, I don't want it." Zhang Chen thought for a moment and realized that his father was not very old, but in his 60s, and he was in good health. There was nothing wrong with learning to drive. Foreigners who were in their 70s or 80s did not always drive by themselves. Zhang Chen and his father said, "Let's do this. I'll sign you up for a driving training class first, and you can learn from it. When you get your driver's license, I'll take you to pick a car, okay?" Zhang Chen's father became happy and said with a smile, "This is okay. Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you Kingbo, Baikan Scholar, and Book Friend 120201010857103 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1138. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao arrived at the company. Zhao Zhigang, Zhao Zhailong, Liang Fen, Zhao Jingjing, and the working class had all arrived, and even Ji Yiling came with Liang Fen. Zhang Chen told them about the matter. 2 points and 3 of them said that there was no problem. The 3 people immediately began to divide the work. Who should tell and call which ones? After the division of labor was completed, the 3 of them went out. 2 points and the working class, and Zhao Jingjing went to the financial center to call, and notified all the phones they could find, including BB machines and PHS phones. If they couldn't be notified, they would call at their door. Ji Yiling asked Zhang Chen if I could notify many of the pattern makers and sample workers here if they would like to come over and help. Before Zhang Chen opened his mouth, Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong said they wanted it. They wanted it very much. The pattern maker could help put the patterns out, so that the garment workers could go to the workshop. Some roads were far away and they couldn't make it in the past 2 days, and there were some that couldn't be notified. In the absence of the supervisor, the sample workers can help and manage the production line. The sample workers are originally selected from among the workers with good skills. They also make the sample clothes, and they are very familiar with the products. Ji Yiling said okay, then I will inform you. Ji Yiling went back to the design center. Zhang Chen and Zhao Zhigang said that they would eat here later. Today is the 6th day of the lunar month. The canteen below has started construction. Su Qiaxin will arrive at about 11 o'clock. We will wait for her. Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong both agreed. Xiao Zhao said, I'll go say hello to the canteen. Not many are open today and they haven't prepared much. Zhang Chen said yes. Su Qiaxin spent the whole night in an internet cafe last night. People nearby were playing games. She translated the orders, each style, and Jessica's requirements, and sent an email to Zhang Chen. Zhang Chen printed the email. He came out and gave Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong a portion each. Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong sat at the conference table and began to fill out the craft sheets one by one based on the sample workers' records and Jessica's requirements. The working class walked in and said to them, Mr. Zhang, the 2 factory directors, Zhao, I have notified everyone who can be notified by phone here. I will leave first. If there are still others who have not been notified, I will ride to them home. Zhang Chen said, eat lunch before leaving. No, thank you, Mr. Zhang. It's still early, and we can still notify several companies in the morning. The working class quickly waved his hands and said, on a day like this, for lunch or not, I just hang out at whichever house I go to. Zhang Chen and the others all laughed, and Zhang Chen said, well, thank you for your hard work. It should be. What happens in this factory is our own business, the working class said and went out. After a while, Zhao Jingjing and Liang Fen also came. They also finished making phone calls and were going to the home of the person they hadn't called. Zhang Chen left them to eat, but they said they wouldn't eat. Liang Fen said it was more important to find someone. Let's go first. Ji Yiling has also finished the phone call. She came over to help Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong sort out the craft sheets. Some sample workers were not good at expressing themselves in words and the writing was not very clear, but Ji Yiling knew what it meant. After Ling read it, she reorganized her words and told Zhao Zhigang and Zhao Zhailong. Zhang Chen sat there and felt that the entire company had recovered from the Spring Festival and started to operate at a high speed. This was really gratifying. Originally, according to the plan, Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao were going to Shanghai today. It was an annual practice for Xiao Zhao to go to Shanghai. After going to Shanghai, he would go to Beijing from Shanghai. Zhang Chen is going to go today. Firstly, he will drive Xiao Zhao there. Secondly, he will pass by Songjiang when going to Shanghai. They also want to visit Erhuo. After Xiao Zhao goes to Beijing, Zhang Chen will drive back to Hangzhou alone. Because of the sudden interruption of Target's order, they had no choice but to postpone today's schedule to tomorrow. Zhang Chen's cell phone rang. He looked at it and saw that it was Tan Shehen. Zhang Chen was wondering, isn't Tan Shehen coming back this afternoon? Why are you still calling? Zhang Chen picked up the phone, and Tan Shehen was on the phone, calling anxiously, Zhang Chen, Nanan can't be found. Ah, Zhang Chen was shocked and asked quickly, Tan Shehen, tell me quickly, what's going on? She went down alone in front of her, saying she was going to a small shop to buy bubble gum. However, after going down, she didn't come back for more than 20 minutes, so I went down to look for her. The owner of the small shop said that Nan had never been there at all. Don't worry, Tan Shehen, Nanan is so old that she can't be lost. She may not be going to this store, but to another store. Oh, we have asked about the small shops nearby, and they all said that we have never seen her, Tan Shehen shouted, almost crying, it has been more than an hour, we have searched everywhere, and there is no one. I found it, Zhang Chen, what should I do? If Nanan is lost, I don't want to live anymore. Stop talking nonsense, we can't throw it away. She may be down there, and she happened to meet her classmates and friends and went to play with them, Zhang Chen said. Zhang Chen, are you? Tan Shehen swallowed the word nonsense and said, Nan has grown up in Hangzhou since she was a child. Who will she know here, and what classmates will she meet? Friend. When Zhang Chen heard this, he thought it made sense. He immediately felt that the matter was serious and felt a little panicked. Tan Shehen called Zhang Chen while standing at the door of the dormitory of the cultural system. She saw her parents coming from another road and asked quickly. Has anyone seen it? Both Lao Tan and Mrs. Tan shook their heads together. Mrs. Tan's eyes were red, and she kept saying, Nanan, where will Nanan go? Lao Tan remembered it and said, Nanan went for a walk with us by the river yesterday. Will she go to the river to play? Tan Shehen rushed to the phone and said, Zhang Chen, I won't tell you anymore, I'm going to the river. Zhang Chen said, okay, Tan Shehen, don't worry, Pol and I will be here soon. Zhang Chen hung up Tan Shehen's call and immediately called Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan was probably still asleep and rang the phone without even looking. You. Zhang Chen cursed and saw Zhao Zhigang and the others looking at him. Zhang Chen said, just wait here for Su Qiaxin. Do you know what to do? I have to go out in a hurry. If you need anything, call me. Zhao Zhigang said, you go ahead, I know what to do. Zhang Chen walked to the door and met Xiao Zhao. Xiao Zhao saw him in a hurry and asked quickly, what's the matter? Nan is gone. Tan Shehen is almost going crazy with anxiety. I'm going to call the Pol and let's go to Yongcheng together, Zhang Chen said. Xiao Zhao was shocked and said quickly, I'll go with you. The two people walked out quickly and reached the stairs. Zhang Chen suddenly laughed. Xiao Zhao looked at him. Zhang Chen couldn't help it. He smiled and said to Xiao Zhao, I'm so stupid, I'm a pig, I should have thought of that. Seeing the suspicion on Xiao Zhao's face, he added, I know where Nan went. She went to find her father. When Xiao Zhao heard this, he breathed a long sigh of relief. Zhang Chen took out his mobile phone and found the number of Yongcheng Wu Troop from the address book. He dialed it and the call went through, but no one answered. He then blocked Feng Logui's BB phone, and Feng Logui never responded. The two of them walked back to the office. Zhang Chen found the address book in the drawer and rummaged through it. It turned out that except for Xiao Wu and Xiao Jin, none of the people in it were related to the troop. Now they can't be contacted. Who else can I contact about this troop? Tan Shehen and the others were going back to Hangzhou today. Zhang Chen concluded that Xiangnan must have used this time in the morning to make up a reason to run out. In fact, she was going to see Feng Logui. In the past, When the second-rate goods sent them there, the second-rate guy will take her there. This year she went back with Tan Shahen, and Tan Shahen will definitely not take her to see Feng Logui. Call Sister Shahen directly, Xiao Zhao said. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, the person who should not be beaten the most right now is Tan Shahen. Their family is very anxious right now. If they know that Xiang Nan is at her father's place, how can they rush over and not make a big fuss? Find Xiang Nan first. Xiao Zhao thought about it. It was really like this. If it were him, he would be angry. Xiao Zhao sighed and said, what should we do? Zhang Chen's mind was spinning, and names were passing through his mind one by one. He thought of it and asked Xiao Zhao. When your parents moved here from Yongcheng, did you remember to bring a Yongcheng phone book? Remember, the phone book is still in my parents' room, and they still use it, Xiao Zhao said. Come on, let's go home, Zhang Chen shouted. Zhang Chen and Xiao Zhao returned to Splendid Home, and sure enough, they found the phone book in Zhang Chen's parents' room. It was a Yongcheng phone book from 1994. Zhang Chen quickly looked for it. Well, the telephone directory at that time printed everyone's home phone number in alphabetical order by surname. Anyway, there are only a few hundred people in Yongcheng who have telephones at home. Zhang Chen quickly found Ding Begu's phone number. The number at that time was still 7 digits, but it didn't matter. The entire Yongcheng number had been upgraded, that is, an 8 was added in front. Zhang Chen calmed down and then dialed the phone. The phone rang twice and was picked up. A slow and somewhat sarcastic voice sounded, hello, who's there? Zhang Chen knew right away that the other party was Ding Begu. Zhang Chen said, Happy New Year, Director Ding, I am Zhang Chen from the Wu Opera Troupe. Please ask Suji and Mei to answer the phone. I have something urgent to call her. When he heard that the other party was Zhang Chen, Ding Begu was stunned for a moment. His first reaction was to hang up the phone, but Zhang Chen was no longer the young man from the theater troupe, but even the secretary and the county magistrate. Treat him as a guest. Immediately, Ding Begu also laughed, Happy New Year, Mr. Zhang, it's so rare. When Ding Begu saw Suji and Mei coming out of the room, he quickly held up the phone and said, I'm looking for you. Who is it? Suji and Mei asked as she walked over. Ding Begu was too lazy to say anything and just frowned. Suji and Mei answered the phone and said, I'm Suji and Mei, who is this? I'm Zhang Chen said. Oh Zhang Chen, is it really you? It's so rare, I thought you had forgotten me. How are you, Zhang Chen? Okay, Suji and Mei, I need your help. Say what you say, Zhang Chen. This Feng Logui, how do you find him? Him. It's best to find him. He's in the office every day, like an old hen hatching eggs. I just called the troops office, but no one answered, and he didn't even answer the phone. Maybe I went to someone's house to chat. They will definitely be in the theater, and they will seize the phone? He even threw it in the drawer. Who else in the troupe has a phone at home? Xiang has a PHS, you give her a PHS. Okay, give me her number quickly. Suji and Mei told Zhang Chen Xiang's PHS number, and then asked, Zhang Chen, why are you looking for Feng Logui? Are you going to donate money to the group again? The group can't get rid of the pot again, Zhang Chen asked. When has there ever been a pot in the group? A broken bowl, waiting for you to fill it up. Zhang Chen laughed and said, okay, this dead old man didn't tell me even if he didn't have money. I thought the troupe had had a better life in the past 2 years, so I told Feng Logui. Zhang Chen called Xiang's PHS. When Xiang received Zhang Chen's call, she was also yelling. Zhang Chen asked her to help find Feng Logui. Xiang said. Okay, Zhang Chen, don't hang up the phone. I'll go find him right now. Don't hang up the phone. I'm a PHS phone and there will be no signal when I get to the stairs. Zhang Chen said yes, I'll wait. Xiang held up her PHS and went to the team leader's office on the first floor. The door was open and there was no one inside. Xiang kicked open the doors of every house on the first floor with her toes. When she didn't find them, she ran away from the first floor. On the fifth floor, Zhang Chen heard that all the people Xiang asked him on the phone said they had never seen Feng Logui. This old man is always stuck in the office like Mu Bodhisattva. It's strange, where is he going now? Xiang muttered to Zhang Chen on the phone. Zhang Chen sighed. He couldn't find it after searching like this. Lao Gui should be no longer in the troupe. Zhang Chen and Xiang said, "Thank you, Xiang. This guy probably went out. If you see him later, ask him to call me right away." "Okay, Zhang Chen, when will you come back to the group to play? Everyone in the group misses you." Xiang said, looking out the window. She saw someone moving in the practice room behind. Xiang shouted, "Wait a minute, Zhang Chen, Lao Gui seems to be in the practice room. I'll go over and take a look." "Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1139. Feng Xiangnan went downstairs, constantly looking behind him, and walked to the courtyard door of the Cultural System dormitory. After confirming that neither Tan Shahen nor her grandparents followed him down, Feng Xiangnan immediately started running. The small bag she was carrying slapped her ass. They are going back to Hangzhou in the afternoon. This is Feng Xiangnan's last chance. If she doesn't see her today, she won't be able to see her father for a year. The most important thing is that Feng Xiangnan knows that her father must be waiting for her. He has been waiting every day, from the second day of the new year until now. Because in the past, Uncle Frog took her to see her father, but there was no time. The earliest he went was on the second day of the Lunar New Year, and the latest, it seems, was the 6th and 7th day of the Lunar New Year. Anyway, as long as Uncle Frog took her back to Yongcheng, whenever he is free, he will take her to see his father. Feng Xiangnan knew how to walk from here to Wu Opera Troupe. In fact, it was only a 20-minute walk, but to a child, the distance seemed elongated and felt very far. She had to run from time to time to get there, otherwise it would take too long. If it takes too long, Mom and the others will come down to find her. There are no buses or taxis in Yongcheng, only rickshaws pulled by people. Feng Xiangnan didn't dare to sit on them. She always felt that if she got on one, she would be dragged to an unknown place. She still had money on her. Feng Xiangnan, I decided to just walk there. If that didn't work, I would ask others. In a place as small as Yongcheng, who wouldn't know about the Wu Opera Troupe? Feng Xiangnan was deeply impressed by Gao Hong from the Wu Opera Troupe. Although most of her childhood memories were blurred, she still remembered some clearly. She remembered that not only her father was in the troupe, but her mother was also an actor in the troupe. Xiao Wu, my uncle, is also in the troupe. It is said that Uncle Zhang Chen and Uncle Zanza were also members of the troupe before, but this is just a rumor. She has not seen them in the troupe, but she has met Uncle Xiao Wu. Entering from the Jiaofang is a mountain. Colonel going to the end of this mountain. Col is their previous home. Now his father still lives there. Xiang Nan doesn't know why his father and mother separated. Anyway, they are no longer together. From the time Xiang Nan was very young, she knew that her mother had always looked down on her father and refused to care about him. In fact, her father still liked her very much. There were so many nights when her mother went to the cultural center to perform. When she didn't come home, her father would hold her in his arms. She had been standing in front of the window, looking at the road coming in from below and the 3 street lights coming from far and near. Yes, Xiang Nan clearly remembered that there were only 3 street lights on that road, and there was darkness in the middle of the 3 street lights. The farthest one is almost at the intersection outside, to Jiao Fang of the Wu Opera Troupe. There is another one in the middle, and the nearest one is at the intersection of the Shangyu Opera Troupe. This long slope reaches the bottom, and is almost to the Yu Opera Troupe. During the troupe, the slope suddenly became much steeper. During the day, her father held her in his arms and looked out the window. She saw many people, with their heads buried and pedaling hard, riding in from the outside with great difficulty. After riding here, she still had to get off. After getting out of the car and pushing the bicycle up, everyone who came up was panting and looking very embarrassed. Xiang Nan looked at them and almost laughed. Xiang Nan remembered that among all the people, only one person could ride his bicycle all the way in from the outside. He didn't get off the bike when he reached this steep slope and pedaled hard. Although it was a bit difficult, he could always ride up in the end. That is Uncle Xiao Wu. No matter whether her father or mother is holding her and standing in front of the window, as long as they see Uncle Xiao Wu coming in from the outside, they will stand in front of the window and keep watching. When Uncle Xiao Wu goes up the steep slope, no matter it is both father and mother will shout, "Come on Xiao Wu." Uncle Xiao Wu would always raise his head at this time, look up, smile, kick a few times, and go up the slope. After a while, Uncle Xiao Wu's voice will be heard in the corridor outside the door, either Uncle Lao Gui or Sister Shahen. When Xiao Wu comes to this mountain Col, he must be at their house and will not go anywhere else. Of people. What Xiang Nan still can't figure out to this day is why Uncle Xiao Wu calls her father, uncle, and mother, sister. Many people in the troupe seem to call her that way, even those who are older than father. Call me dad, Uncle Lao Gui. Xiang Nan remembered that at night, her father would hold her like this and stand at the window waiting for her mother, but he never waited. When her mother came back every day, Xiang Nan was already asleep, but she could hear them vaguely. From the sound, she could feel her mother kissing her, it was tickling, and she knew her mother was back, so she would laugh with her eyes closed. Mom and Dad have never had an easy time together like Uncle Zhang Chen and Aunt Xiao Zhao. Why, Xiang Nan doesn't know, but she knows that her mother has always looked down on her father. This is always the case at home. Only when her mother talks about her father, there is no father. When talking about mother or something, Mom and Dad don't seem to quarrel. Mom doesn't talk much about Dad, just a few sentences, and sometimes she rolls her eyes at Dad, and Dad stops talking, or leaves the house. Go out. But every time his father went out, Xiang Nan knew that he actually had no other place to go. He just walked to Jeoham and sat down in his own office, as if the office was his home. It's the same every time Xiang Nan comes with Uncle Frog. No matter it's morning or afternoon, as long as he walks to that office, he can always see his father sitting in the office. It was like this last year, and it's like this year. After a year, it's like a day has passed. Dad seems to wear the same clothes every year. Walking southward alone along Xinan Avenue, she was very sure that her father would still be in the office at this time. He would never be absent. When she thought of her father waiting for her and her mother and grandparents looking for her, Xiang Nan couldn't help but start running. When she got tired, she kept walking. She stopped running southward. When she started running, the small bag she was carrying slapped her butt. When she stopped running, it stopped making noise. When she reached the three-way intersection, Xiangnan breathed a sigh of relief. She stood and took a look. That's right, it was right here. Opposite was the gate of West Zhejiang Electric Power School. Turn right into this intersection. On the left is Yongcheng Electric Power Bureau. On the right is the forestry station. Turning south and turning right, the entire road was covered by plane trees. However, at this time, there were not as many leaves on the trees as there were on the ground. The leaves that fell on the ground were curled up like each is a small fist, and when there is wind, they roll along the ground. Xiang Nan likes to chase them the most, stepping on them one by one. When he steps on them, the fist will break and make a slight thump sound. Enter this road, turn left, then turn right, and you will see the back road. Standing on the back road, you can see the Gaohong on the opposite side. You can see the two trees on the Gaohong. One is a camphor tree. I know Xiongnan, whether it is Splendid Home, Peach Blossom Spring, or their school, there are such tall and big camphor trees. There is also a tree that Xiongnan doesn't recognize. Except here, they also grow on both sides of the Yongcheng section of National Highway 320. But you can't see them after leaving Yongcheng. Xiongnan has never seen them in Hangcheng. This tree looks a bit strange. It is bare and has no leaves. Every branch of it is crooked and it looks very unhappy. Standing at the intersection to look at the south, she saw a wooden house on the back side of the road. It was a small shop, and the shop was still open. As Xiang Nan walked over, she saw a lot of cigarettes placed in the glass counter of the small shop. Xiang Nan didn't know, so she asked the uncle who was looking after the shop. She said, "Uncle, which of the cigarettes you have here is the highest quality?" The uncle pointed at a pack of red cigarettes on the counter and told her this. Xiang Nan saw that underneath the cigarette was a golden Tiananmen square with two white characters on it. The one in the front was and the one in the back was. Like the Bai of graduation, the grass of grass, and the revolution of revolution. Xiang Nan asked, "Uncle, what kind of cigarette is this?" "China," said the uncle selling cigarettes. Xiang Nan couldn't help laughing. She said, "This is the word. Who wrote it? It was so ugly and wrong. Give it to our teacher. The teacher will definitely make a big cross." The uncle also laughed. He tilted his head and said, "It doesn't look good." "Uncle, how much does a pack of these cigarettes cost?" 28. "Then what if I buy a lot, like 10 packs, Xiang Nan asked. The uncle who sold cigarettes smiled, "That's one piece, 281. Xiang Nan immediately said, "That's not cheap, it's still 28 a pack." "Yes, the price of a pack of cigarettes is the same as a pack of cigarettes." Xiang Nan sighed and she said, "Okay, then you can get me one." The uncle selling cigarettes was startled and asked, "Little girl, what do you want cigarettes for?" "Giving it away." "To whom?" Xiang Nan pointed to Jiao Fang on the opposite side and said to him, "The people up there. From the Wu Opera Troupe." "People from the Wu Opera Troupe don't smoke Chinese. They smoke this." The uncle selling cigarettes pointed at Ushima at the counter and said. "How much does this cost?" Xiang Nan asked. 35. "Didn't you say before that China is already the highest level?" Xiang Nan looked at him and asked. The cigarette seller knew that she had misunderstood and quickly said, 35 is a piece, and a pack is 3.5 yuan. "Then I don't want it. I still want the highest grade Chinese." "You, by the way, what you want to give as a gift, who is this person?" "Your teacher. Does he teach you how to play the erhu or sing?" In the past few years, people from the troupe have also brought students. Indeed, some parents of students brought their children to buy things from him. He thought that this little girl probably came here to study or something. Xiang Nan shook his head, "It's my dad." "Your father?" The cigarette seller was surprised, "Who is your father in the troupe?" People from the troupe usually bought cigarettes, wine, salt, sugar, sauce, and vinegar from him. He couldn't figure out whose daughter this could be. He had never seen such a smart and beautiful little girl before. If he had ever seen such a smart and beautiful little girl, I will definitely remember it. Xiang Nan almost blurted out Feng Logui, but as soon as the words came to her lips, she stopped immediately. She remembered that if she opened a store here, she must know her father. Anyone who knows her father must also know her mother, Tan Shahen. What if she says she is Feng Logui's daughter and this person goes to tell her mother? Xiang Nan said, "My dad is my dad. Give me the cigarettes. I have money." Xiang Nan said, patted the bag on his body, then turned around with his back to the cigarette seller, and took out 300 yuan from the bag. Xiang Nan turned around and handed it to the cigarette seller. The cigarette seller was embarrassed. He thought for a moment and said to Xiang Nan, "Little girl, your dad can't smoke such good cigarettes. You don't smoke these cigarettes yourself, you buy them as gifts. So, you want to buy this for your dad, okay. Licken, it's 15 yuan apiece. Bow, this is already the second-grade cigarette." While Xiang Nan was still hesitating, the uncle who sold the cigarettes said, "Well, after you buy it, if your father thinks you didn't buy it right, how about you ask him to come over and exchange it, just across the road?" Xiang Nan thought for a while and she said, "Okay, then you give me 2, the money is just right." Thank you to Dal Tin Soldier and RIRI Shushu for the reward. Thank you to Yuju, Zongkai 727, and Chuyo 201811101504537880 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1140. Feng Xiangnan carried 2 Licken cigarettes and walked up the slope. A year has passed, but Gao Hong is still the same, just like her father. A year later, he is still the same. Time seems to have stopped in this Gao Hong. Walking south into the building of the Wu Opera Troupe, walked to the stairwell, and looked towards the corridor on the left. There was no light in the corridor and it was dark, but at the end, there was a ball of bright light pouring out from the open door on the side. That was her father's office. Xiangnan couldn't help but smile. She walked southward into the corridor, her footsteps very light, until she walked into the bright light. Feng Logui, who was standing at the door and sitting there reading an old newspaper, did not notice her. Xiang Nan called out, "Dad." Feng Logui raised his head, saw Xiang Nan, and shouted in surprise, "Nan Nan." When Feng Logui stood up, he stretched his head in confusion and looked outside the window. While he was reading old newspapers every day, he was actually listening to what was going on outside. He heard a car revving up its accelerator and roaring. If he drove up from that slope, it was most likely Zhang Chen's driver or his wife who was driving southward. Feng Logui didn't see the car outside and was a little surprised. He came over and picked up Xiangnan. He then took 2 steps outside and walked into the corridor. He looked towards the stairs and saw no one. Feng Logui asked, "Nanan, who sent you here?" Xiang Nan said with some pride, "No one sent me there, I came here by myself." Feng Logui was taken aback and quickly carried Xiang Nan in and put him down. He asked, "Did you come here alone?" Yongcheng County is a long and narrow strip built along the Xianan River. Zhang Chen's home and the Yongcheng Wu Opera Troupe are on the east and west, at both ends of the county. It takes about 40 or 50 minutes to walk from there. He doesn't, you know, Xiangnan came from the dormitory of the cultural system. In such cold weather, a child has to walk 40 or 50 minutes. Feng Logui quickly touched Xiang Nan's face and hands. Fortunately, her face and hands were still hot, so he felt relieved a little. Xiang Nan handed the cigarette in his hand to Feng Logui and said, "Here you go." At the same time, she saw that what was on Feng Logui's table was a package of ushima worth 3 yuan and a half. Feng Logui took the plastic bag and looked inside. He was surprised again. He asked, "You brought the cigarettes that Grandpa smoked. Does Grandpa know?" Xiang Nan shook his head. Feng Logui said, "Don't know. Grandpa doesn't know, So Dad can't have it? Xiang Nan looked at him and said, Grandpa doesn't know, but these are not Grandpa's cigarettes. I bought them in the shop below. Can you have it? Feng Logui said with a smile, You can have it. The cigarettes my daughter bought for my father, they taste very good when smoked. Xiang Nan also smiled and said, The uncle who sells cigarettes told me that these are the second highest quality cigarettes in his place. If you don't like it, Dad, you can exchange it for the highest quality Chinese cigarettes. Feng Logui hurriedly said, If you don't want to change it, don't change it. This is already very high-end for Dad. Dad can't get used to Chinese. Then from now on, don't smoke that Ushima, just this lickin', okay, Xiang Nan said, when you finish these two, you can go buy them yourself. It's considered a gift from me. Feng Logui nodded and said yes, smiling bitterly in his heart. With his father's salary, Ushima had to save money on smoking, and there was no way she could afford to smoke. Xiang Nan put down the bag he was carrying on the table, opened it, took out a plastic bag, handed the bag to Feng Logui, and said to him, Just use this to buy it. Feng Logui saw that there was a large stack of 100 yuan bills in the plastic bag, which should be several thousand yuan. Feng Logui was startled and asked quickly, Nanan, where did you get so much money? Xiang Nan said, I saved it myself. Uncle Zhang Chen, Aunt Xiao Zhao, Uncle Meng Ping, Aunt He Hung Mei, Aunt Chu Tianlin, many people will give me lucky money. Also, if I do well in exams, if I play well in basketball or play the violin well, Uncle Zhang Chen and the others will reward me, and I have saved them. Xiang Nan reported a long list of names, but did not mention Uncle Zanzi. She found that her father would be very happy whether she said Uncle Zhang Chen or Aunt Xiao Zhao, but she felt that if she said Uncle Zanzi, her father might not. She would be happy. Uncle Zanzi was the one who rewarded her with the most money, but Xiangnan didn't say anything. When Xiang Nan was talking, Feng Logui kept nodding. When she finished speaking, Feng Logui asked, Did you thank them? Of course thank you, Xiang Nan said. Feng Logui folded the plastic bags several times and wrapped the money in the bags tightly. He said to Xiang Nan, Then you have to put the money away. Think about it, it is not good for a child to carry so much cash with him. He said, Nanan, Daddy, take you there and put the money in the bank, okay. Xiang Nan shook her head and said no, I saved this to buy cigarettes for my father to smoke. Feng Logui laughed, Nan, why would Dad ask for your money? Dad also prepared a red paper envelope for you. Why can't Dad ask for Nan's money? Xiang Nan asked. Dad is an adult and Nanan is a child. Dad is already able to earn a salary. Nanan is still a student and cannot earn a salary yet. When Nanan also earns a salary, Dad will ask for Nanan's money. As Feng Logui spoke, Xiang Nan stared at him. When Feng Logui finished speaking, Xiang Nan sighed and said, Oh, you adults, why don't you just want to listen to children? Didn't I tell you before? I earned this too. I studied hard, played ball hard, and played the violin hard. I earned the money through my own efforts. What's the difference between what Dad earns? Feng Logui was speechless by Xiang Nan's question. He smiled awkwardly, then remembered, took out a red paper bag from his bag and handed it to Xiang Nan. Xiang Nan stood there with his hands behind his back, refusing to come to pick him up, but said, Dad can give money to Nanan, and Nanan can also give money to Dad. If you accept the money, Nanan will want your red paper envelope. Feng Logui looked at Xiang Nan's stubborn look and felt that she was really similar to Tan Shahen. If he didn't accept the money today, she would definitely not give up. She would definitely not even accept the red paper envelope. Feng Logui thought for a while, and then he thought of depositing the money in the bank himself, finding an opportunity, and then handing the bank card to Zhang Chen. Feng Logui and Xiang Nan said, Okay, Dad will accept it, thank you Nan Nan. Then you want to buy lick and smoke, not Ushima Siang Nan said. Feng Logui agreed that with the money given by Nanan, Dad would draw licken from now on. Dad is the only person in the entire Wu opera troupe who can afford to draw licken. Isn't it great? Siang Nan chuckled and nodded repeatedly. As he spoke, Feng Logui locked the cigarettes in the drawer and put the packet of money into his bag. When Siang Nan saw it, he picked up the red paper packet on the table and said, "Thank you, Dad." Feng Logui asked, "Nan Nan, do you want to act today?" Siang Nan shouted, "Yes." Feng Logui stood up and picked up his bag. He said, "Okay, let's go to the practice room." Whenever Siang Nan comes here, his favorite thing to do is to learn acting from his father. Feng Logui and Siang Nan, one taught and the other acted, were performing vigorously in the practice room. Siang came in from outside and shouted when she saw them. "You damn old noble, you made me look everywhere. Hurry up, Zhang Chen's phone number, Nan Nan is here, come here quickly and let auntie give you a hug." Zhang Chen breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Xiang's voice on the phone. He nodded to Xiao Zhao and said softly, "Yes." Xiao Zhao also breathed a sigh of relief. "Hey, Zhang Chen, it's me." Feng Logui took Xiang's PHS, quickly walked outside the practice room, and said into the phone, "Lao Gui, I knew that Siang Nan went to your place. She escaped secretly. Tan Shahen and Lao Tan couldn't find her everywhere, and they were almost going crazy. Tan Shahen is home. That's right, let's not talk about it for now. Lao Gui, can you send Siang Nan back to Lao Tan immediately? Forget it, just send it to the door and let Siang Nan go back by himself. I'm afraid Tan Shahen will eat you if she sees it. I'll call her." "Okay, Zhang Chen, I'll send it over right away. I'm still wondering why she came alone today. Tan Shahen took her back to celebrate the New Year. They are going back to Hangzhou in the afternoon, so Nanan." "I understand, Zhang Chen, I'll send her back right away." Feng Logui hung up the phone and walked back to the practice room. He saw Siang teaching Xiangnan acting. When he came back, Siang called, "Lao Gui, I didn't expect that Nan Nan is so easy to understand. She is really talented. She is exactly the same as that one." Feng Logui smiled and said to Siang Nan, "Nan Nan, Dad will take you back." "No, Lao Gui, I just got addicted to teaching," Siang shouted. Feng Logui walked over and whispered in her ear, "Tan Shahen is looking for her." Siang understood and said quickly, "Okay, Nanan, next time I come, my aunt will teach you next time, okay?" Siang Nan smiled and said, "Okay, thank you Aunt Siang." Siang bent down, quickly, "Kiss auntie." Siang Nan gave her a kiss on the cheek. Feng Logui took Siang Nan down from Jiaohang, set up the bicycle, picked up Siang Nan, and put it on the front gear of the bicycle. When the owner of the shop opposite saw it, he realized that this little girl was Mr. Feng. "Gui's daughter is really as beautiful as Tan Shahen." He shouted loudly. "Captain Feng, is this your daughter?" Feng Logui waved and said yes. Feng Logui rode to the courtyard of the cultural system dormitory, which was still some way away, and called to the south to get off here. Feng Logui stopped the car and said to Siang Nan, "I'll walk over by myself. I was lying to my mother and told her to come down to buy bubble gum." "Dad, don't let your mother see you, or she will scold you again." Feng Logui said yes, "Then you can go back by yourself." Siang Nan said and said to Feng Logui, "Goodbye, Dad." "Goodbye Nanan." Feng Logui stood there, watching Siang Nan as he entered the courtyard of the dormitory of the cultural system. Then he safely picked up the bicycle, turned it around, kicked twice with his left foot, and stepped onto the bike with his right leg. A gust of cold wind blew in his face, and Feng Logui suddenly felt his eyes blurred. Feng Logui returned to his office, sat down, and thought for a while. He picked up 2 Licken cigarettes in the drawer, walked out of the office, walked down Jiufang, went to the small shop opposite, and put the cigarettes on the counter. The boss looked at seeing him, he laughed. "What, Captain Feng, don't you appreciate your daughter's filial piety to you? If you can't bear it, you'd better switch to Ushima for me," Feng Logui said. "There are not so many Ushima today, only 4. Just record the rest here." The boss agreed, and he took out the 4 pieces of Ushima and gave them to Feng Logui. "Thank you for the tip from the third one from top to bottom, 131 on the shore. Thank you Shifangxian, Feng Qingyang and Fat Smoking Man for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone."